I wanted to say a rematch, but then I thought that if we had another match, Lee Di-jun's other face might be deformed and he might lose a few teeth, so I changed my mind to. We, the Han Nation, strongly protest and demand that the competition system be changed. The top four should be determined by a point system. This way, we can decide the four strongest contestants. This is the fairest way. Oh, not stupid. It seems that your team is very clear about the strength and positioning of your own warriors. Why are you still making such a fuss? It's still a point system, so is that the same as the last round of the round-robin tournament? Chapter 319 Victory. Please subscribe and vote for Matilda. Faced with the reasonable request of the Han country leader, several leaders of the Huaxia Martial Arts Association and the organizing committee members of the world's #1 martial arts competition all laughed. Well, I wasn't laughing because I was angry, but because I was amused. The other party just said that this is related to the honor of their Han country sports community and even the martial arts community. How dare you mention the word honor? But when the organizers of the live competition were about to let this stupid guy leave, a respected senior among them stopped them all and said to the leader of the Han country very gently, "Take the international image into consideration, and we will give it serious consideration," and so on, and persuaded him to leave with kind words. "Okay, I'll wait for your results." The leader of the Han Kingdom raised his chin and turned away arrogantly. Several directors of the Chinese Martial Arts Association frowned slightly. They were all smart people, so they immediately realized that the attitude of the tournament organizer was obviously problematic. "Mr. Johnson, what are you doing?" Chairman Johnson smiled and said calmly, "Alas, there is nothing we can do. 70% of the sponsorship and prize money for our #1 martial arts tournament this year comes from the Sangsing Group of Han Country. Sangsing is also one of the core directors of our International Martial Arts Association. He is more powerful than others. I am also considering the overall situation. But even so, we, the world's #1 martial arts tournament, can't possibly change the competition system just because of the inexplicable and groundless protests from the Han Kingdom, right?" Before the people from the Chinese Martial Arts Association could say anything, several other decision-makers from the organizing committee immediately jumped out. "That's right, the Hangguo Sports Bureau really has the nerve to talk to us about sportsmanship and honor. That's right, if any country can make us change the competition system because of a random protest, then who are we? Yes, this is ridiculous." That being said, Chairman Johnson pondered for a moment, shook his head and said, "I understand your anger, but you also know the influence of the Sangsing Group in our association." As he spoke, he turned to look at the people from the Huaxia Martial Arts Association and said apologetically, "I'm sorry, but this is the current situation of our International Martial Arts Association. We have to consider the balance of all parties and the impact on the overall situation." "Ha ha ha, I understand, but I want to ask, how likely is it that the competition system of our sub-venue will change? We can also give some precautions to the participating warriors here in advance." Forehead. Johnson is also an old fox. Naturally, he could hear the other party's implication. He quickly said righteously, "Impossible, not to mention that the protest of the Han Country martial arts team is groundless and unreasonable. Even if there is a dispute, we cannot change the results of the competition. This is our bottom line. As for other aspects, if there are any changes, we will definitely seek the opinions of your country's association." Good. Now that they have said that, the people from the Chinese Martial Arts Association naturally have nothing much to say. Let's just wait and see the actual actions of the organizing committee. However, what's the point even if the competition system is changed? In fact, even if the organizing committee of the sub-venue competition changed the competition system and allowed the eliminated Han Kingdom contestants to return to the competition, what would happen? It's useless. If you don't have the strength, no matter how many tricks you use, they will only make you a laughing stock. As the saying goes, good news doesn't travel far, but bad news travels 1,000 miles. Although the Hangguo team leader's complaint and protest against the morning race did not cause much noise under the appeasement of the race committee, this fact is really in line with the explosive point needed in the current news environment. Before the afternoon competition began, news about the protest by the Hangguo Wudao team was exposed online and caused a huge response. In particular, Hangguo contestant Lee Di-jun posted a dynamic message on the social media platform, clearly expressing two opinions. First, the current 8-4 format of the world's best martial arts competition is very unreasonable. 8 warriors are competing for 4 places. Shouldn't the fairest way be a point system? Secondly, if the officials of the world's #1 martial arts tournament ignore his call to change the competition system, then after the quarterfinals, he will, in his personal name, gamble his martial arts honor and life, and initiate a life and death duel with the other 3 martial artists who have successfully advanced. Well, according to what he said. Although I am not qualified to participate in the world round robin of the World Martial Arts Competition, I want to prove that I, Lee Dijun, am no worse than anyone else. But the funniest thing happened. The first and most liked comment under his post was, "You were beaten by Master Kongaming." Then there was a lot of ha 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 in the comments of this comment. No matter how this Han country warrior named Lee Dagan jumped around, the schedule of the world's #1 martial arts competition continued to move forward without any ripples. On the third day, Wu Jiantao from the Chinese Tiger Roar team faced off against a swordsman from the Wying Kingdom. Well, the other party chose a weapon battle, and he agreed. Wu family's Xinyaquan originated from the gun technique on the battlefield. It is both boxing and gun technique, and the fist stance is actually the gun stance. Unlike the situation Yuan Huang encountered before, this time the organizing committee finally provided a spear, an ancient Chinese weapon, which was a full 10 feet long. When Wu Jiantao stepped onto the arena holding the spear, the audience in the entire stadium suddenly fell silent. Look at the sword in the hands of the Japanese warrior. Originally, it seemed quite long, but now. Suddenly, I felt sorry for him. However, the martial arts fans in Wying country were not in a hurry, and even said to the people around them seriously, "An inch longer, an inch stronger, an inch shorter, an inch more dangerous." The winner of a weapon fight cannot be determined by just looking at the length. You have to fight to know who is stronger and who is weaker. In the competition arena, the referee stood in place, raised his hand high, and suddenly swung it down. The competition begins. Deng! Almost as soon as the words fell, the swordsman from the Japanese country stomped his feet suddenly, and the sword in his hand was instantly unsheathed. He jumped up and slashed against the wind with great swiftness. His sword was so fast that even the high-definition camera on the scene that could clearly capture the F1 race car could not show it clearly, but he was faster than the gun in Wu Jiantao's hand. It really was a bit of cold light, like a dream. Collapse. The two of them stopped in the arena instantly. To be more precise, the swordsmen from the Wying Kingdom stopped, holding their swords in the air, and they looked dazed. At this moment, the clear feeling on my throat told me, "Lost." Don't say such cowardly words, as the opponent's spear is more advantageous than your short sword. Win is win, lose is lose. At that moment, there was only one word to describe it. Quick. Chapter 320, Sweep Away. Please subscribe and vote for me, Tilda. On the huge holographic projection above the arena, the spear in Wu Jiantao's hand had already pierced the neck of the Wying country swordsman at some point. This scene frightened many of the audience and made them scream. Some parents subconsciously covered the eyes of their children to prevent them from seeing this bloody and tragic scene. However, after a closer look, they found that there was no blood on the neck of the Yingguo swordsman. "Phew, you scared me." Even the host at the commentary desk said with lingering fear, "I just realized that the weapons we use in the competition are special. For example, the tip of the spear in Wu Jiantao's hand is actually made of rubber. When the gun tip touches an object, it will shrink and collapse. At most, it will cause some flesh damage, but it will not cause any real harm." Cough, cough, cough. As soon as he said this, the Wying country swordsman in the arena collapsed, bent over and coughed constantly, his face flushed with coughing. It was when Wu Jiantao stabbed him in the neck just now that he retracted his strength. Otherwise, this shot would definitely cause him greater damage. "Thank you." Wu Jiantao bowed to the other party with an indifferent expression, and his right hand had already been raised by the referee who came over. Wu Jiantao wins. How awesome. At this moment, whether in Chen Jun's hometown in Kyoto or Wu Jiantao's hometown in the south, the Chen family and the Wu family all jumped up and burst into huge cheers. "Win. Not bad, this kid." Wu's father's face was filled with relief. Even though the shot just now seemed a little lacking, the speed at which he fired the gun was already much faster than that of the young masters of the same level. As the saying goes, laymen watch the excitement, experts watch the doorway. Wu Jiantao's shot just now made the other contestants who didn't play feel a slight chill down their spines. So fast. Almost at the same time, they also put themselves in the shoes of Wu Jiantao's opponent, and then kept imagining all the means they could use to deal with this shot. But in the end, they found out somewhat depressingly that even they were probably no match for Wu Jiantao. However, most of the people's expressions were solemn, except for one person whose face turned ashen and looked extremely ugly. Well, the guy in the contestants' rest area is none other than Lee Dagan, the contestant from Han country who was slapped away by Master Kongaming a few days ago. At this moment, half of his face has not completely healed, and some deformed parts have not recovered yet. However, according to reports from mainstream media, the left side of his face may never fully recover. Although Master Kongaming did not use his full strength and only used about 80% of his strength, this 80% completely crushed this guy. Now, the other warriors who advanced to the top 4 are fine, but why is this young Chinese warrior named Wu Jiantao so strong? It's outrageous. Then why the hell am I challenging you? Li Dagan's face was full of annoyance and regret. If I had known earlier, I would not have listened to the leader and posted this tweet according to his WeChat message. Now I am in a difficult situation. Good news, 3 of our country's new generation of young martial arts masters have entered the final round of the world's #1 martial arts competition. Finally, I have waited for this day, Chinese martial arts yids. This is a memorable day for the Chinese martial arts community. Chinese martial arts are back with a bang. Great China come back with strength. For a while, online and offline, even newspapers and periodicals, were all reporting the news of the world's #1 martial arts competition entering the final round robin stage. In less than half a day, the news spread throughout the streets and alleys. Many people who were not very interested in the martial arts competition circle, but as the news bombarded them everywhere, they finally saw the news. 3. Our young masters of Chinese martial arts have made a big splash, and 3 of the 4 seats are occupied by Chinese contestants. As for the young masters from Han and Wying countries who broke in here, they were not good enough and were all swept out of the ring. The content of this news is not a lie, right? As the outside world was in turmoil, CCTV from Kyoto and mainstream media from all over the country were all frantically contacting the captain of the martial arts team, Yu Wenhuang, hoping to interview or even have an exclusive interview with them. Unfortunately, Wu Jiantao refused again and did not join in the carnival that was boiling across the country. Instead, he returned quietly to Chen Jun's hometown in Kyoto. Dad is back. Chen Jun and Wu Ma, who were accompanying the 2 babies in the yard, looked over. At the same time, the 2 cute little guys called Dad happily and then ran over happily. Hey, Tilda. He bent down, held Daodu and Mio in his arms, one in each, and leaned over to kiss them on the cheek. How's it going? Are you feeling tired? Chen Jun came over and asked me with concern. No, I feel like I'm in great shape now. I didn't put in any effort in the fight just now. He smiled and shook his head. Don't be careless. Many experts now have more than one trick up their sleeves. You still have to be careful. Mother Wu was knowledgeable and experienced, and she subconsciously gave her son a few words of advice. Don't worry, I've never been careless. After playing with the 2 babies for a while, Wu Jiantao turned around and went to the kitchen to start preparing dinner. Xiao Tao is back. Grandma Chen looked at him kindly and said, "Let me make dinner tonight. You've been competing for a whole day." Next, the final round robin of the world's #1 martial arts tournament will be held at the main venue in Europe. By then, the entire competition will take a long time, probably lasting for more than half a month. After all, this is a competition method based on a round-robin point system. The contestant with the most accumulated points at the end will directly become the martial arts master, who is given the title of the best in the world in this session. Oh, by the way, there was also that guy who said he would challenge the other 3 qualifiers after the game. Oh, by the way, Li Dijun is nowhere to be seen. But maybe it's because this guy is really popular recently. But even if he returns to China directly, there are still many domestic and foreign media reporters who surround him as soon as he gets off the plane. Li Dagan, can you tell me what you are doing back home now? When do you plan to challenge the other 3 in the top 4 to a life and death challenge? Li Dagan, I'm sorry, I refuse to answer this question. Please change it. Li Dijun Opa, I heard that you had an affair with a female reporter, and it was very quick. Is it true? Well, let's study the last question carefully. I think we should have a lot in common. Chapter 321, Taunting, please subscribe, please vote tilde. Common topics. Who the hell wants to have a common topic with you? The female reporter holding the microphone was not like the previous one. She immediately looked constipated, but with the blessing of her professionalism, she finally did not get angry on the spot. Instead, she forced a smile and asked, "So when do you plan to launch the challenge? Where is the location?" Regarding the matter of launching a life and death challenge, I may need to explain that what I meant when I posted that sentence on the internet was that I would launch a ring challenge against them with the intention of fighting to the death, not a duel of life and death. Isn't this a duel of life and death? But launching the challenge to the ring with the determination to fight to the death. So it's just a matter of who's better, not who lives or dies, is that what you mean? Ali D. Jun, you're so handsome, I love you. Come on, Dagon Opa, we've always supported you. Dagon Opa, it doesn't matter if you're not big and fast, I have the medicine for your illness. Opa, don't cry, stand up and jerk off. Lei Day Jun. Hearing these ambitious words, the martial arts fans watching nearby cheered and encouraged each other, but the reporters surrounding Lee Di-jun couldn't help but twitch their faces a few times. If it's not a life or death challenge, then where is our news focus? You are clearly cheating. One of the reporters rolled his eyes and immediately said to him, so, what you said on the social media platform before, I will challenge the other 3 warriors to a life and death battle. Is that not valid anymore? Lee Dagon. Damn, it never ends, right? About this question, by the way, didn't you just ask me if I had an affair with that female reporter? Regarding this question, let me clarify it now. Reporters. We are talking about the Citygate Tower here. Why are you talking about the hip axis? Stop it. However, this question was a big problem, so they were naturally very interested. But this guy said righteously, first of all, let me make it clear that the female reporter and I were boyfriend and girlfriend before, although we are not now. As for the question of fast or slow, don't talk nonsense. I will sue you for defamation. No trace. Got it, it's almost gone. These reporters are definitely 3 blocks ahead of Lee Dae-jun in terms of word extension, and they immediately captured the key words. After he answered the question, the reporters started to pester him about challenging the other 3 top 4 players to a life and death duel. It seemed like they were asking him to just admit that he was a coward and that if he didn't dare to challenge them, they wouldn't push him too far. Finally, Lee Dagon became angry and humiliated. The life and death battle I mentioned earlier means that I will challenge them with a will to fight to the death. So you're scared. His eyes widened as he asked, how can you just say that no one is innocent? What do you mean innocent? One of the reporters even took out his phone and opened the screen, looking up Lee Di-jun's post on the social platform. Shit, he actually deleted it. It doesn't matter, he was prepared and pulled out the screenshots from the news and handed them to him. You said these words, isn't that right? Lee Dagon's face immediately turned red and the veins on his forehead jumped out. He argued, a life and death battle is a matter of mind. It's consciousness. In a duel in the ring, the winner is the warrior. You know nothing. Then came the ugly words like, you idiots, you don't understand martial arts at all, and NMSL, and so on, which led to a group of reporters swearing at him. The square was suddenly filled with the atmosphere of alpaca. Not long ago, Wu Jiantao, who was in Chen Jun's hometown in Kyoto, actually received an internal notification email from the Tiger Roar team. Well, the electronic challenge letter from Lee Dagon was sent to him. I have to say that the cover of this challenge book is designed in blood red, with the words, fight against death in the name of life, written on it. Wow, the 8 characters were written in a flamboyant style, with an amazing momentum. However, when I opened the challenge letter, it was also specifically stated that this competition would be held in the form of a ring competition. Other people nearby also saw the challenge letter and were stunned and speechless. So this is the legendary search for death. Lee Xiaoshan complained. Puchai Chenjun found it so funny that he couldn't help laughing out loud. The location is the end of Hangguo. Li Xiaoshan was stunned and couldn't help laughing. Jiang Tao, this special designation of the venue for the challenge, wasn't it your invention? Ha 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 ha, how do you feel now? Wu Jiantao glanced at her speechlessly. Of course I will accept the challenge, and then let him come over here personally. Ha ha ha, this guy just returned to China a few days ago. He acted so cowardly during an interview with a reporter, and even called on his fans to beat up the reporter. How could such an idiot possibly come and accept the challenge? Well, this guy used to curse at reporters during the interview. After all, he only has one mouth. How can he fight against so many mouths? Besides, don't curse at reporters who are good at talking. It's just like Guanaria putting down his green dragon crescent blade and attending a meeting alone, looking for trouble. What's more, the journalists from Han Country are definitely not supervised like the journalists in China. They will do anything to get news hot spots and climb up the ladder. In this quarrel, these reporters spoke one after another in an orderly manner and without using any profanity, which made Lee Dagon speechless. In the end, he became so angry that he waved his hand. Hit them for me. Then the female fans who had been standing by with eager eyes on the scene rushed forward, and the whole scene suddenly became a mess. Facing Li Xiaoshan's doubts, Wu Jiantao narrowed his eyes and said confidently, the hermit has his own ingenious plan. The most disgusting thing about Hangguo's martial arts world, and even the sports world, is that they are shameless enough to swallow their pride. But this matter needs to be viewed from two sides. In the evening, Wu Jiantao posted a screenshot of Li Dagan's challenge letter to him on social media and attached a sentence. I accept the challenge, but I am very worried that I will be treated unfairly by the referee in the arena. At the same time, in view of the martial arts competitive spirit of your country that loves group fights in the Olympic martial arts games, since you want to challenge me, then come to Kyoto, China to find me map location. This is my address. I am waiting for your visit at any time. Oh, by the way, you may think that what I just said is mocking you, don't get me wrong. I'm not targeting you alone, but your country's martial arts world and even the entire sports world. Don't accept it, then come and fight me. By the way, I want to tell a joke here, the sportsmanship of Han Country. Chapter 322 is on the hot search tilde. Please subscribe and vote tilde. In order to respond to Li Dagan, Wu Jiantao even downloaded the Twitter account of the United States. Well, Li Dagan had previously posted a statement questioning the competition system of the world's #1 martial arts competition through this platform. I have to say that this guy is very good at hype. After he posted this question, his fans instantly increased by hundreds of thousands. Of course, most of those who follow him are from China, and as for those from abroad, there are not many. Even if they follow him, it is only temporary, just to leave a message to scold him, and then they unfollow him after leaving the message. After downloading and registering, and completing personal authentication, Wu Jiantao directly posted his response on Twitter. When this tweet was first released, apart from Lee Dijun, who was at Eid in Korea, not many people in China noticed it. But with the reposting of the Tiger Roar team and university classmates, major domestic media soon noticed it. The most important thing is that the official account of the Chinese Martial Arts Association on Twitter also forwarded Wu Jiantao's message and also wrote a sentence. At Hangguo Martial Arts Association, dog head, dog head, dog head. All of a sudden, this incident became a hot topic on Twitter, and it even ranked third on the hot search list that night. The entire Han Country sports world, and even the martial arts community were all furious. Whether it is the Sports Bureau or the Hangguo Martial Arts Association, many officials and martial arts masters have spoken out. He angrily scolded the Chinese children for being ignorant of the immensity of heaven and earth, and how dare they speak so arrogantly and be so rampant. Are you bullying me because there is no one in the martial arts world of Han Country? The official account of the Han Country Martial Arts Association on Twitter said directly, slander, defamation. At Wu Jiantao Kid, we in the Han Country martial arts community have accepted the challenge on behalf of Li Dagan. This will be a duel to determine who is superior and who is inferior, and to decide life and death. Just wait, we will find you soon. At Huaxia Martial Arts Association, your martial arts originated from our Han Country. Why are you so arrogant in front of us? At the same time, Sangsing Group, worthy of being the world's top chaebol group, took direct action. The message Wu Jiantao posted on Twitter was deleted, and he was banned for 12 hours. Twitter, which originated in the United States and claims to advocate freedom of speech, fairness, and democracy, has always been internationally renowned for its double standards, even though it has been far inferior to China in recent years. Wu Jiantao was mentally prepared for this, but he did not expect that his account would be banned for only 12 hours. Could it be that Twitter officials had a change of heart? It is unlikely. It should be a technical error. As for the reason for the ban, it was said that his speech was suspected of insulting others and causing adverse international impact. When Wu Jiantao encountered this for the first time, he didn't get angry at all. He even found it quite novel. Then he turned off the thing, put down his phone, and went to sleep. The next day, the first thing everyone did when they got up was to pick up their phones. As soon as they turned on the screen, they saw the three words, Wu Jiantao, in the hot news title in the notification bar. What's going on? Both Wu Ma and Li Xiaoshan, who lived in a nearby B&B, subconsciously clicked on the news and were immediately shocked. After seeing the screenshot of the tweet Wu Jiantao posted in the news, Li Xiaoshan couldn't help laughing. She quickly got out of bed, put on her underwear and shirt, ran out to the living room and handed her phone to her husband. Look, Wu Jiantao really made big news. Yuan Huang took the phone with a puzzled look on his face. Haha, you said Wu Jiantao is quite capable. He actually challenged the entire Han Kingdom martial arts community and even the sports community. Now Li Dagan has to come. Is this really okay? What if other martial arts masters in Han Kingdom can't help but come and challenge him? After seeing Wu Jiantao's tweet, Yuan Huang laughed happily. Okay, this wave of taunting is quite powerful. It's fine. Facing his wife's doubts, he smiled and shook his head, saying, let's not talk about whether the martial arts master has the nerve to challenge a junior. Even if he is shameless and really comes to challenge Jiang Tao, the seniors in our domestic martial arts world will not agree and will definitely take action. Oh, Li Ziaoshan nodded. In the morning, at Chen Jun's house. At the dining table in the courtyard, everyone did not leave after breakfast, but sat around and looked at Wu Jiantao. This situation won't cause any diplomatic problems, right? Although there is nothing to worry about his son's strength, this involves a country, a question of the honor and face of the country's sports, and even martial arts. Wu Jiantao sent this Twitter message. It's simply tearing off the fig leaf of the Han country's sports world. This caused a major earthquake in the Han Kingdom's martial arts world, and even the entire sports world. Until this moment, Li Dagan, the instigator, had not realized what he would face next. It's not about the challenge, but the people he offended this time are two giants, the Hangguo Sports Bureau and the Martial Arts Association. It is conceivable that this guy will inevitably be suppressed by the domestic upper echelons next. However, before that, the people from the Hangguo Sports Bureau and the Martial Arts Association still have to work together to help Li Dagan improve his strength as much as possible, and help him defeat or even kill the other three warriors who successfully advanced in the life and death duel. Almost at the same time, in Li Dagan's villa in Han Country, a martial arts senior from Han Country was sitting very seriously. In front of him, Li Dagan was standing respectfully. There were also many tall and strong men in black standing inside and outside the living room. Senior, the potion you gave me is. Don't worry about what it is. I came here today just to watch you inject this medicine into your body. The senior looked at Li Dagan indifferently, without any emotion in his eyes. In the past, he had considered this young man a promising talent, and could even be trained as the seed of the next generation of great masters of Han Country. But since last night, this guy has completely become a discarded child. But you must tell me what this is. A stimulant. The senior lied, but his expression remained unmoved. A potion that can temporarily increase your strength by 0.5 times. Since your challenge is not a competition, use this to defend the glory of our Han nation's martial arts. But this will damage my body and even prevent me from improving my martial arts skills in the future. Li Dagan instinctively felt that something was wrong and wanted to refuse. You have no choice. The senior from the Han Country Martial Arts Association had a cold expression on his face and stopped talking nonsense. Do you want to inject it yourself, or do you want me to send someone to help you? I can do it myself. Li Dagan had no choice but to agree after gritting his teeth. Chapter 323. Pharmacy, please subscribe and vote for the monthly ticket tilde. It's okay, this is just a stimulant. It will just overdraw your body's functions. It will recover in 2 or 3 months at most. This rising star in the martial arts world of Han Country took a few deep breaths and glanced at the senior in front of him, with a complex look in his eyes. In fact, he was an ordinary child when he was young. His academic performance was not very good. However, when he was selected for martial arts talents in elementary school, he was found to have good physical talents and was born with twice the strength of his peers. He was very talented and was taken away by the Martial Arts Association for special training. Back then, this senior taught me and many other kids who were brought here in that training camp with little humanity and an alarming elimination rate. Therefore, Li Dagan has complicated feelings towards it. How could he not be grateful? When Li Dagan was young, he regarded him as a master, and because of his continuous improvement in martial arts, his family also lived a good life. But this senior has always been so cold and ruthless. Just like now when I encountered trouble, he, as the director of the Martial Arts Association, came over and did not care about me, but pushed me out first. He felt a chill in his heart, but Li Dagan had no intention of refusing, because the education he and many of his peers received in the training camp, since childhood, except for martial arts, was about obedience, and obedience. From the moment they entered the training camp, they were taught that without the guidance and teaching of the Martial Arts Association, they would not have a bright future. In the future, talented warriors like Li Dijun who have achieved results and started to become stronger will also receive various PUA from the Martial Arts Association. So at this moment, Li Dagan didn't even bother to resist. Even the instinctive rejection in his heart was suppressed by his subjective consciousness. Phew! The cold needle pierced his arm, and he slowly pushed the medicine into his skin. It hurts a little. However, this little pain is nothing to Li Dagan, who has undergone devilish training since childhood. Moreover, in his memory, after training in the training camp, he was often taken to a basement with various high-tech instruments, with various wires inserted into his body, and injections and medication were common. Well, according to the Martial Arts Association, all the instrument tests and genetic drugs he had received since he was a child were to develop his body's potential. It was also because of this that he could achieve what he has today in martial arts. Click. He put the syringe on the table. His breathing became inexplicably rapid, and he felt like there was a fire burning on his arm. Lee Dagan groaned and curled up on the sofa. Almost at the same time, the senior opposite him stood up with a serious look and took 2 steps back. The black-clothed men who were standing far away, all of whom were over 2 meters tall and had amazing physiques, came over and stared at Lee Dagan, who was twitching in pain on the sofa with great nervousness. This is not a stimulant. He felt his whole body was extremely hot, and his intuition told him that his body temperature was definitely over 42 degrees Celsius. With such a high fever, he felt that his mind was starting to become unclear, with only the last bit of clarity left. Suddenly, the martial arts master said, "Be careful, he might go crazy." As soon as he finished speaking, Lee Dagan stood up suddenly, picked up the bucket of water beside him, and poured it on his head. At the same time, his body made a muffled, booming and crackling sound from his muscles and bones. If there were any Chinese martial arts masters present at the scene, they would immediately exclaim in surprise, because this was the sign of reaching the stage of entering the circle of whole strength in martial arts. The muscles and bones were resonating together. Amid the thunder-like sound of muscles and bones, Lee Dagan's body shape and posture also changed little by little. He was originally only about 1.8 meters tall, but instantly turned into a 2.2-meter-tall strong man. The clothes on his body were instantly burst, and black veins were entangled all over his body. His muscles spread out horizontally, and his power was astonishing. Get started. Although the face of the martial arts master, who retreated far away, was relatively calm, there was a hint of shock and disappointment in his eyes. It still failed. The test subject was unable to stay awake and rational, so we had to forcibly take him down to cool down his brain. I hope he can maintain a certain level of intelligence, otherwise he can't even get on the ring and has to be disposed of. If this happens, all the precious resources invested before will be wasted, and I will have a hard time explaining this to the professor. In mid-November, the competitions at the 5 continental venues of the world's #1 martial arts tournament came to an end one after another. 4 martial arts masters stood out from the competition at each continental venue and entered the world's most watched round-robin tournament. Soon after, the official website of the world's #1 martial arts competition also announced the start date of the round-robin tournament, which will officially start on January 15th of next year. The competition format is divided into home and away. The participating warriors decide by themselves and submit the address of the home competition to the organizing committee. After the organizing committee has reviewed it and found no problems, it will announce the home venue for the competition for 20 warriors. Next, the 20 warriors will complete a total of 19 duels in 3 to 4 months, with home and away matches. If they win more games in a row, they will have more duels at home, and if they lose more games in a row, they will have more duels away. Well, this home and away arrangement is a very clear zero-sum mentality of the West, and the winner will have more advantages. When the round-robin tournament reaches the finals to decide the top 8, the last few matches will be held at the main venue in Rome, Italy, Europe, and will be broadcast live worldwide. The attention and popularity of the entire competition will be unprecedented. Compared with the competitions held in the other 4 continents, the competitions in the Asian venues were much more lively. Just like on this morning, China and many small countries around it once again released hot news about this top event. The rising star of Hangguo's martial arts world, Lee Dagan, has arrived in China's capital today. In just half a month, Lee Dijun's temperament has changed drastically, as if he had undergone devilish training. Yesterday, the Hangguo Martial Arts Association said that Lee Dagan has broken through the bottleneck. His martial arts skills have greatly improved, and he is expected to defeat the other 3 semi-finalists. It's settled, Lee Dagan will challenge Wu Jiantao, one of the top 4 first, and claims that he will make him take back what he said before. Looking at the news about Lee Dijun posted by major news media on my mobile phone, the official media even posted Lee Dijun's recent photos. Compared with before, he really seems like a different person. When Wu Jiantao saw the guy's appearance in the photo, he was slightly stunned. It has indeed changed a lot. After taking a closer look at Lee Dijun in the photo, he immediately became alert instinctively. Chapter 324, Win or Lose, Life or Death. Please subscribe and vote for me tilde. Chen Jun beside him also frowned slightly and said uneasily, "When I see his eyes in the photo, I always feel a sense of fear. This kind of eyes doesn't seem to be possessed by normal people. It makes me feel like a killing machine without any emotion." Hearing this, Wu Jiantao nodded. Although his wife was not specialized in martial arts, the Tibetan yoga she practiced made her extremely sensitive in the area of spiritual perception. "It's okay, don't worry," he said calmly. "It just so happens that I have improved a lot in recent days. Let's use this competition to verify how much I have improved." Lee Dagan's challenge, this time, is really a matter of life and death. On the day of arriving in the Chinese capital, at noon, an employee of the Hangguo Martial Arts Association delivered a black declaration of war to Chen Jun's hometown and personally delivered it to Wu Jiangtao. The time is set at 6 o'clock in the evening. The location is a martial arts hall in Kyoto owned by the Taekwondo Club of the Hangguo Martial Arts Association. The challenge book contains a map address and a QR code. You can directly navigate to the map by scanning it with your mobile map software. How come it's so fast? Chen Jun felt more and more uneasy. She felt that the challenge Lee Dagan launched against her husband this time was not that simple. Snort. Wu Jiangtao felt a little cold in his heart, and a hint of murderous intent flashed between his eyebrows. At this time, the life and death battle that Lee Dagan launched against Wu Jiangtao was being reviewed by the Chinese Martial Arts Association. "Are you Lai Di Jun?" The martial arts senior from the Chinese Martial Arts Association was somewhat suspicious and looked up and down at the young man in front of him. He just stood there quietly, his eyebrows lowered, his eyes fixed. As if he didn't hear his question, he didn't look up at anyone and didn't answer. At this moment, a director of the Hangguo Martial Arts Association coughed, and he finally reacted. He raised his head and stared at the auditor in front of him with emotionless eyes. "I am Lee Dagan." The senior from the Chinese Martial Arts Association frowned and immediately realized that something was wrong, but he still followed the established work procedures. "Lee Dagan, do you clearly understand the possible consequences of your challenge this time?" Lee Dagan lowered his head again. His eyes were indifferent and without any focus, and he was silent again. The man on the side coughed twice again. The guy raised his head again and replied slowly, "I know, clearly." At this time, no matter how slow the auditor was, he noticed that something was wrong with Lee Dagan. He turned to look at the director of the Han Country Martial Arts Association, only to see him shaking his head with a wry smile, saying, "I'm sorry, our Lee Dagan suddenly entered a strange state of enlightenment half a month ago. His daily life and martial arts training have become instinctive, and he hasn't been able to wake up. He has had some minor problems communicating with people these days, but as long as I'm by his side to help, he can still communicate with people normally." As he said this, he turned to Lee Dagan and scolded him, as if to prove his words. "Dagan, wake up and answer this senior's question." Lee Dagan was slightly stunned, and his eyes seemed to regain some spirit. He turned his head to look at him, and then looked at the reviewer. Sorry, I have been thinking about some questions just now. Do you have anything else to ask about my challenge?" "Oh's no more, thank you for your cooperation." The reviewer from the Chinese Martial Arts Association nodded, which dispelled 99% of the doubts in his heart, the remaining uncertainty. It's because he always instinctively feels that something is wrong, but he can't tell exactly what it is. "Excuse me, Brother Liu, do you have anything else to ask?" Beside him, the director of the Han Country Martial Arts Association smiled bitterly and said, "I'm sorry, ever since Lee Dagan entered this state, he always needs someone to help him communicate with others. No, there is no problem with the review. I will just mark his mental state." "Okay." Hearing that the other party said that there was no problem, the director's eyes showed a hint of relief, and he said calmly, "Thank you, Brother Liu." The reviewer named Liu nodded at him indifferently, said goodbye, and turned away. An afternoon passed quickly, and the time finally came to about 7:30 in the evening. "Here it comes. Wu Jiangtao is here." Outside the martial arts hall of Hangguo Taekwondo Club, a large group of reporters suddenly heard the news and started taking pictures of a car that was slowly approaching from the opposite direction. Soon, a young man with beautiful eyes and a height of about 1.8 meters got out of the car. Whoosh! The reporters immediately surrounded him and put the microphones in their hands in front of the young man. "Mr. Wu Jiangtao, are you confident that you can defeat Lee Dagan? What are your chances of winning?" "Mr. Wu, what do you think of the Han Country Martial Arts Association's statement that Lee Dagan has broken through the bottleneck? Do you believe it?" "Mr. Wu, can you tell me about your current mood?" For a moment, these reporters surrounded Wu Jiangtao, asking him questions one after another, not giving him any chance to pass through them and enter the martial arts hall. Make way. The competition is about to begin. I will answer your questions after it's over." There was no other way. Wu Jiangtao could only force his way through the crowd, walk straight through, and enter the martial arts hall of the Hangguo Taekwondo Club. As soon as he stepped into the gym, he spotted a figure on the field. But Li Dagan was sitting quietly in the arena at this time. As soon as Wu Jiantao walked into the arena, he suddenly raised his head. His originally dull eyes turned red little by little. He stared at the other party intently. There was a faint sound of muscles and bones all over his body, and his whole body was full of murderous aura. At the same time, Wu Jiantao narrowed his eyes slightly and actually sensed a faint threat from the other party. This is so interesting. There was a hint of curiosity and a little excitement in his eyes. Very good, it's a rare opportunity to encounter a competition where I don't have to restrain my explosive power. I hope the opponent won't let me down too much. Sign a life and death agreement. When two parties compete, if one party says, "I surrender," the other party may not attack again and will be deemed the loser. In other cases, life and death are left to fate. The international referee, who arrived at the scene, finally announced, "The competition begins." The next moment, Li Dagan's figure on the field suddenly changed terribly. He instantly changed from a 1.9-meter tall man to a 2.2-meter tall sturdy man, with dark blue veins all over his body. Boom! He stepped on the ground with his right foot and burst it. He instantly came in front of Wu Jiantao and suddenly chopped him down hard with his palm. At this moment, all the seniors from the Chinese Martial Arts Association, who were watching the battle not far away, stood up suddenly, their faces full of horror. "This is haha, just in time." At this moment, Wu Jiantao let out a long roar, and for the first time, all the strength in his body burst out without reservation. Bang! Fist fight. The terrifying force centered on the two people suddenly sank along the place where each other stepped on and cracked in all directions. Happy. Wu Jiantao just felt extremely refreshed, and he swung his other hand as well and fired forward with extremely powerful cannon hammers one after another. Bang! 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 One punch, two punches, three punches, layer upon layer of power. Li Dagan on the opposite side, who had such a strong physique, was actually retreating step by step. Although he had no expression on his face, his situation of trying to stop a chariot with a mantis arm was extremely clear. But he didn't say, "I gave up." Tough. The strength in Wu Jiantao's body continued to accumulate. The fourth punch. The fifth punch. Suddenly, Li Dagan's arm was broken, and the bone of his elbow was pierced backwards and exposed. His arm also broke backwards, and he finally couldn't bear it anymore and flew backwards. Puff. A mouthful of evil blood spurted out, and he fell to the ground, rolling several times and then lay motionless. The next moment, everyone saw clearly that Li Dagan's muscle fascia expansion was relieved, and he had no breath at all. He is dead. Chapter 325, Undercurrent. Please subscribe and vote tilde. Unlike ordinary martial arts competitions, in a life and death duel like the one between Wu Jiantao and Li Dagan, apart from the relevant personnel from Hangguo and the Chinese Martial Arts Association, there were no media reporters on site to film or broadcast live. The two people who just filmed the scene are both staff members of the two countries' martial arts associations. The video of the fighting competition will be kept top secret and will never be released to the public. Generally speaking, even if a video of a life and death duel like this is recorded, there will be a blockade period of at least 3 years. It can only be publicly disclosed through certain specific channels after 3 years. Well, only people related to the martial arts community can see this specific channel, and the general public cannot see it at all. As for the video being leaked online, whether it is in Han country or in China, once there is a leak, with the current information technology, we can find the source in the first time, arrest the person directly, and clear the relevant information on the internet in the first time. There is no way, if videos related to martial arts or materials like martial arts techniques fall into the hands of people with ulterior motives, it may lead to very bad social consequences. Of course, China and Han have different national conditions, and their practices in this regard are also different, so I will not go into details. At this time, Wu Jiantao exhaled a breath of foul air in the martial arts arena, looked calmly at Li Dagan not far ahead, then turned his head and took a deep look at a middle-aged man from the Hangguo Martial Arts Association not far away. Just when I threw that last punch and sent Li Dagan flying, this man moved unusually. Trample. Without any other movement, he turned around and walked off the field to the side of the Chinese Martial Arts Association. The result of the game, Wu Jiantao won and Li Dagan died. This was a fair and open competition without any controversy. Even if the Han Country Martial Arts Association was unwilling, They could not act like a rogue as they did in the world's #1 martial arts conference. After all, this is a life and death duel, and after being reviewed and decided by both associations, neither party can and will be allowed to go back on their word. Goodbye. After making a fist-clasping salute, the director of the Chinese Martial Arts Association, along with Wu Jiantao and the others, was about to leave when a man suddenly ran in from outside and came to the director's side. He lowered his voice and said anxiously, "The Security Bureau sent us an urgent message, asking us to stop this life and death duel. They said that Li Dagan had injected." Before he could finish his words, the staff member who saw the situation on the scene was stunned for a moment. You're too late, the game is over. Wu Jiantao won. The senior director frowned, looked at him and said, "What did you just say? What did Li Dijun inject?" The staff member of the association turned his head hesitantly to look at Wu Jiantao beside him, but saw his boss frowning and said coldly, "Just say it, Wu Xiaoyu is not an outsider."
Yes.
He then told the information sent by the Security Bureau.
What?
The senior's face suddenly darkened, and Wu Jiantao's face also looked a little ugly. No wonder Li Dagan's strength suddenly increased so much. It turned out that he was injected with genetic medicine. Thinking of this, the senior director of the association couldn't help but turn his head and look at the martial arts demon beside him. Fortunately, this kid's strength cannot be measured by common sense, otherwise this life and death duel. It was the first time that Wu Jiantao heard of genetic medicine, and he did not have a very clear understanding of it. However, as a senior who had been in the martial arts world for most of his life, he knew very well how dangerous this thing was.
This thing.
It is a genetic engineering project led by the United States and secretly conducted with several of its smaller countries. The research object is the genetic medicine developed by warriors who have reached extraordinary levels around the world. The United States has conducted research and achievements in this area, but it is strictly guarded against China. Only the Security Bureau has. Generally speaking, if an athlete or a warrior has taken drugs, it will definitely be found out through physical examinations, but it is difficult to detect changes based on the level. No wonder the Han country is so arrogant this time, playing right under their noses.
Tread.
The senior director stopped for a moment, slowly turned his head and looked behind him, only to see the Han Country Martial Arts Association carrying Li Dagan's body on a stretcher. He asked again, "Did the Security Bureau say anything else?"
There is none left.
The staff member said quickly.
Good.
He immediately understood in his heart that the Security Bureau would definitely take action secretly next, but the subsequent related matters had nothing to do with him.
What?
At the same time, in Chen Jun's hometown, Wu Ma, who was playing with her 2 babies in the courtyard, suddenly heard her cell phone ring. She picked up the phone and looked at it. Her brows were immediately stunned. The 4th one. Why is he calling at this time? Hello. Wu Ma didn't think much about it. She just thought that this disciple called today to greet her. But after picking up the phone and listening to what this fellow disciple said, a murderous look flashed in her eyes. "Okay, I got it. I'll come find you later." She said this lightly and hung up the phone.
What?
Wu Jiantao returned home from the competition and did not see his mother. He asked Chen Jun in surprise. "Just after 10 o'clock, she told me that she was going to visit your 4th uncle, and then she left."
4th uncle.
Wu Jiantao was stunned at first. He only had an uncle and an aunt, not a 4th uncle. But he immediately realized that they were the same disciples as his parents, who had followed Grandpa Wu to learn martial arts. It is said that this 4th uncle would only come to visit my grandfather at home during the holidays, and would sit down and chat with my parents and reminisce about the past. I am not very clear about some more specific information about him. Wu Jiantao felt something was wrong and called his mother to ask. His mother told him that his 4th uncle was coming to Kyoto today and asked him if he wanted to bring the 2 kids and Chen Jun along. Of course he didn't agree. After all, he was preparing lunch at the moment, and it would be very troublesome to drag his family out at this time. On the other side, a middle-aged man next to Wu Ma was shocked when he heard what his senior sister said. He calmed down when he saw her hang up the phone and put down the phone. "You scared me. I thought you were really going to ask Xiao Tao to come over too." "How could that be? I know that guy must be preparing lunch now, and he probably won't come out again. Okay, let's not talk about this. When are you going to act? Just wait for the target person to appear."
What?
Chapter 326, Absent-Minded. Please subscribe and vote for the monthly ticket tilde. Wu Jiantao naturally did not let the matter of the genetic medicine go so easily. In the afternoon after lunch, after coaxing the 2 little ones to sleep, he picked up the phone and called his uncle Yuan Long directly. Well, my uncle has been traveling in the southern continent for many years, so he might have come into contact with some related people and things. Even if he hasn't, he must know something about this aspect. Gene medicine, why are you asking this? Yuan Long was stunned. I met him. Poof, cough, cough, cough. The uncle opposite seemed to be drinking water. He choked when he heard his nephew's words. His voice suddenly rose 8 degrees. Did you encounter it? Tell me in detail what happened. Wu Jiantao then told him about Li Dagan's life and death battle with him, and the fact that he had been injected with a genetic drug. Uncle, do you know where this genetic drug came from? Through this duel, I found that Li Dagan's strength is much stronger than before. It can almost be said that there has been a qualitative improvement. Although the upgraded Li Dagan does not have the explosive power of a star-level master, his powerful strength is definitely at the star level. After thinking about it carefully after the competition, Wu Jiantao even vaguely felt that Li Dagan in that state was stronger than the average star-level master. If he had truly mastered the star-level methods of exerting strength and bursting out, he would not have been able to win this competition so easily. Well, with your current level, you are qualified to know. Okay, I'm telling you, you can't tell anyone about this. The confidentiality level of this matter is quite high. I know, I still have some sense of propriety. Yuan Long talked about the genetic medicine, and Wu Jiantao's face gradually darkened as he listened. Well, I'll go ask about this matter. The follow-up matters may not be that simple, but you may not be required to get involved. Just know about it. You have a family now, so the security bureau will not trouble you.
Good.
Well, I'm hanging up. In the bedroom, Wu Jiantao slowly put down his mobile phone, turned his head to look at the 2 little guys who were sleeping soundly in the baby's bed, was silent for a long time, stood up and walked to the balcony, and stood down like a square horse stance. He did not ask about the follow-up. 2 days later, his uncle Yuan Long told him about the follow-up actions of the Security Bureau. Well, as expected of China, which was regarded as a forbidden area by the International Brigade, the Hangguo Martial Arts Association hit a wall this time. On the way to transport Li Dagan's body back to China, they encountered a car accident.
And then nothing happened.
On that day, the official media's report was also intriguing. Li Dijun's body disappeared in the car accident explosion. At the same time, in the tragic car accident, several senior members of the Hangguo Martial Arts Association were also seriously injured. As for the Han Kingdom, they knew their own business and understood that they must have been exposed at some point. If they were to ask for an explanation at this time, they would certainly end up in trouble. On a higher level, this might just be a beginning, but for Wu Jiantao, his showdown with Li Dagan has already ended. However, through this incident, he saw for the first time how cruel the martial arts world outside of China was, and he also felt unprecedented pressure in his heart. Before this, Wu Jiantao's attitude towards martial arts practice may have been due to a lot of pressure from joining the Howling Team and participating in the world's #1 martial arts competition, but this kind of pressure was still a piece of cake for him. But this time, it was completely different. Through Li Dagan and the Hangguo Martial Arts Association, Wu Jiantao saw an extremely cruel world. Well, the information that Uncle Yuan Huang gave me later was very complete, from Li Dagan's family life to his growth in martial arts. And most importantly, the information also specifically mentioned a training camp for talented young people under the Hangguo Martial Arts Association. Li Dagan came out of this training camp. By the way, intelligence data also shows that over the past 10 or 20 years, 9 out of 10 martial arts masters from generation to generation in the Han Kingdom's martial arts world came from this class for talented young people. Just like the martial arts master Li Minho, who has been at the peak of his career in the Han country martial arts world in recent years, he is also a genius who graduated from this junior class at the age of 15. This time, through the Li Dagan incident, the Chinese martial arts community also thoroughly understood a terrifying fact that chilled their hearts. That is, the United States development and research on genetic drugs has reached an incredible level. In just half a month, it can improve a full-strength warrior to the level where he can compete with star-level masters. No wonder the warriors of Han country and Wying country, although they obviously do not have a very complete martial arts advancement system such as whole strength into circle and strength into transformation, there are always talented warriors who can compete with star masters by relying on their physical talents, and there is more than one. At the same time, the martial arts world of the United States is leading the Han Kingdom, Wying Kingdom, and some relatively stable small countries in the southern continent to optimize and increase the number of martial arts masters through biogenetic technology in order to suppress the Chinese martial arts world and return to the top. However, the Chinese martial arts community remained unmoved and still insisted on doing the right thing. guiding the various schools and sects in the country into a virtuous cycle. After the storm, Wu Jiantao became busy again. He received invitations to variety shows and interviews from CCTV, as well as endorsements from other commercial brands. All kinds of big and small things swept him away. That night, Chen Jun was very keenly aware of her husband's change of mood. "What's wrong with you? Why do you seem a little absent-minded?" Chen Jun was sweating profusely, with a frightening blush on his face. Wu Jiantao raised his head from her when he heard that. "How could I be absent-minded? I was very focused just now, okay? If I say you have it, you have it." Chen Jun patted him in a scolding tone. "Go on, you have at least 3 things to say." Wu Jiantao immediately felt strange, as if he had heard his wife say this before. "What 3 sentences? With whom's, where, when? So are you implying me?" After a round of jokes, Wu Jiantao did not hide the truth from his wife and told her about Li Dagan's challenge to him and some undercurrents behind the matter. "It turns out that it was because of this. So you feel a lot of pressure. No, to be precise, the uncertainty in this matter is too great and beyond your control, which makes you uneasy." Chapter 327 Humph. Please subscribe and vote for me Tilda. Wu Jiantao nodded. As expected, it was his wife who understood his mood at once. "You don't need to worry too much." Chen Jun curved her eyebrows and said gently, "Look, hasn't the Security Bureau already dealt with the follow-up issues? Not to mention alarming me and the baby, it didn't even cause any trouble for you." "I know." He nodded. "Maybe I'm thinking too much. After all, the country is behind us." "Yes." With his wife's help, Wu Jiantao's heavy heart felt relieved and was replaced by a more determined and resolute mind. "Thanks." He slowly hugged Chen Jun. "You and I are husband and wife. Why are you thanking me?" Before she finished her sentence, her clear and pure face with a slight blush could not help but lift up slightly. Her lips opened involuntarily. Her voice was slightly startled and bewildered, and then a hint of shyness emerged. "You, what are you? Didn't you say that I was absent-minded just now? Now, I'll concentrate." In the bathroom of the room, Wu Jiantao, who had just left last, was a little careless. The faucet was falling into the sink one after another, making a ticking sound of water. After an unknown amount of time, Wu Jiantao suddenly opened the door and walked in. He ran some water and then noticed that the faucet was dripping. He reached over and turned on the tap. Under the high pressure, the water in the pipe suddenly rushed down. Wu Jiantao caught the water with both hands and washed his hands before tightening the faucet again. Knock, knock, knocks. Ho! He turned around and opened the door, only to see his wife standing outside with a bath towel in her hand, glaring at him with a look of reproach on her face still slightly blushed. "What's wrong with you? Didn't you take a shower before?" "It's all your fault. I'm sweating all over now. I feel really uncomfortable and greasy. Of course I need to take a shower." Come in, come in." Wu Jiantao opened the door, and Chen Jun, who walked in, couldn't help but roll his eyes at him, then turned around and hung up the bath towel. Soon, the two of them looked at each other and sighed. "Aren't you done with your bathroom? Close the door and get out. I want to take a shower." Low. Wu Jiantao closed the door after hearing this. Chen Jun. After a while, the sound of water dripping from the faucet into the sink was heard again in the bathroom, but compared to the previous sound, this time it was a little louder. Maybe the faucet was loosened a little more than before, so the falling water drops became bigger. After more than 40 minutes, the sound of water was finally heard in the bathroom, and Wu Jiantao, who had just taken a quick shower, came out refreshed. He sat on the bed with a relaxed and happy look on his face and glanced at the 2 babies. Well, they were sleeping soundly. After a while, Chen Jun also came out of the bathroom and gave someone a fierce look. "You lie over there." Her face was still slightly flushed, with a hint of embarrassment between her brows. Especially when she saw the teasing look on her husband's face, she became even more annoyed and angry. Wu Jiantao was a little stunned. "I can't sleep well without holding you." "Get lost." Chen Jun rolled his eyes. "Are you going to lie down or not?" As she spoke, she stretched out her hand and made a 2-finger Zen gesture, as if she was about to attack. Okay, I'll lie down. Is it okay for me to lie down?" Wu Jiantao could only lie down on the other side of the bed in dismay. Chen Jun heaved a sigh of relief and lay down with his hands and feet somewhat weak. Snort. It was all someone's fault. It looked like tomorrow's morning practice would be more of a restorative exercise. Thinking about it, she couldn't help but yawn, and her eyelids began to feel heavy. But before she fell asleep, an extremely familiar embrace came up from behind her, and 2 hands came from behind and gently embraced her. Chen Jun woke up immediately, twisted his body involuntarily, and immediately stepped back to push someone away. Don't move, just sleep like this. I'm sleepy too, let's stop tossing and turning, okay Tilda go to sleep. She was so angry that she gritted her teeth and asked, do you really want to sleep? Well, looking down from behind me, I can feel it clearly. I'm fine, it was you who was moving around just now, someone whispered in her ear. The low whispering voice was very attractive, and the warm breath made her involuntarily shrink her smooth and delicate neck. She could only reach back into satisfaction and elbow someone, then just be quiet, aren't you going to sleep? Why are you still so awake? The elbow didn't hurt at all, Wu Jiantao said as if nothing had happened. There's nothing I can do about it. This is an instinctive reaction, it's okay. It will be fine after a while, go to sleep. Snort. Chen Jun had no choice but to force himself to close his eyes and not focus his attention there. After all, they had always slept in each other's arms at night, and they had long been accustomed to each other's arms and breath. If they suddenly separated and slept alone, they would really not be able to adapt. All night, no words. When the sunlight poured in through the gap in the curtains, it fell on Chen Jun's beautiful face. She frowned her slender and graceful eyebrows and finally woke up from her sleep. Her eyelids opened slightly and this again. Honey, you didn't close the curtains properly last night. After mumbling something, Chen Jun reached back but found nothing as usual. The round-robin tournament of the world's #1 martial arts competition will be in more than 2 months, and this guy, doesn't he want to take a break? She rubbed her eyes, turned over, yawned, sat up, twisted her neck and stretched. I still feel very sleepy. Chen Jun picked up his phone and took a look. It was 5:51. It's so early, take a nap a little longer. With a click, she fell headfirst onto the bed and fell into another sleepy nap. About 10 minutes later, Chen Jun woke up again. She got up, changed her clothes, and washed up in the bathroom before she walked out of the bedroom and into the living room on the second floor. What was different from usual was that her husband was not seen standing on the balcony. Chen Jun couldn't help but frowned. Did he go for a run? Forget it, I don't bother with him, she snorted in her heart. Last night, someone said that they fell asleep, and when they turned over in the middle of the night, they inevitably lingered for a while, and then the fire started again. That's why she feels so tired when she wakes up in the morning. Otherwise, with her current physical condition, she would definitely feel refreshed and energetic when she wakes up in the morning. Chapter 328. A Quarrel. Please subscribe and vote. So tired. Chen Jun in the living room thought bitterly, is that guy made of iron? Why is he always so energetic? Doesn't he ever get tired? Even now, she still felt her body soft and numb. Taking out the yoga mat from the corner of the living room, Chen Jun lay down on it and began his morning yoga practice. Almost at the same time as she stretched her body, the rhythm of her breathing naturally became long and slow, almost the same as her breathing when she was sleeping in bed just now. Well, except for the discomfort she felt when she first started practicing the 17th posture while lying down. As she became more sophisticated and advanced in her practice, she could now use this posture to recover her body. I have to say that this set of secret yoga is very magical, and almost every posture has a very unique effect. Gradually, Chen Jun's thoughts settled down, and his body and mind became relaxed and calm. Time slipped away bit by bit. I don't know how long it had passed before the aroma of rice and flour wafted over from the direction of the courtyard downstairs. It was faint, but it made people salivate. Dab tab. A steady sound of footsteps came up from downstairs. Chen Jun, who was lying on the yoga mat, slowly opened her eyes, only to see her husband, who was sweating all over. Their eyes met unexpectedly in midair. Morning, ladies. Wu Jiantao greeted her, which was also his unique way of addressing his wife. Before, Chen Jun couldn't accept calling Wu Jiantao wife, saying that the title contained the word old and made her look old, so she asked Wu Jiantao to use wife instead of wife in the future. Correspondingly, someone naturally wanted her to call him husband, but she rolled her eyes at him. You wish. However, since he could make his wife call him brother Tao, all the time, Wu Jiantao could naturally also let her call him husband. This was not a difficult thing for him to achieve. Snort. Chen Jun simply rolled her eyes at him, indicating that she didn't want to pay attention to him. What's going on? Someone suddenly felt a little strange and quickly came to his wife. Didn't I provoke you this morning? You know whether you know it or not. Chen Jun snorted angrily and turned her pretty face to the other side, not even looking at him. I know, no, Wu Jiantao looked wronged. Xiaojun, how about you give me a hint? When I got up in the morning, I went to the park to run and practice. I didn't do anything. What happened to me?
Think for yourself. As well.
He thought about it very seriously, but still didn't know what he had done wrong. He looked at his wife with a guilty conscience. How about you give me a hint? Do you really not know, or are you playing dumb in front of me? Chen Jun glared at her angrily. Could it be in the early morning?
She sneered a few times.
Then Wu Jiantao widened his eyes and looked at him in astonishment. No, you were the first to make the move that time.
You're talking nonsense. It's obviously you.
No, I have to talk to you about this. Think about it carefully. I was sleeping very soundly at that time, if you hadn't reached out your hand and held it.
You just shut up. Chen Jun's face was flushed with anger and shame.
Now that she had recalled it, it seemed possible. When I was sleeping very soundly, I had a strange dream. In the dream, I seemed to be chasing a rabbit with a stick. So at that time, I was really... Look, you finally remembered it, right? You've wronged me. Come on, let's talk about it. How are you going to compensate me?
Wait a moment.
Chen Jun sneered. I'm not talking to you about this.
Oh.
Wu Jiantao was stunned. What else could it be? Take a look for yourself, take a look. Chen Jun took him back to the bedroom and pointed at the east-facing window. The curtains on both sides were not drawn tightly enough, leaving a large gap.
Wu Jiangtao.
I've told you about this curtain thing more than once, right? Look, how many times have you failed to draw the curtains? I was woken up by the sunlight in the morning, and I couldn't even sleep a little longer.
What the hell? At this moment, he was really confused. It's just a small matter. Is it necessary to criticize me so seriously?
However, we still have to admit our mistakes. It turns out that it is very easy for a wife to find fault with her husband. Even if the husband is not at fault in the first place, it is easy to make him fully aware that he did something wrong or not well enough, which led to his wife making this mistake. In a word, the fault is all mine. Fortunately, Chen Jun was not the kind of person who didn't know when to advance or retreat. He didn't unreasonably hold on to this point and keep pestering Wu Jiangtao. After changing out of their sportswear and yoga clothes, the couple put on couple's casual clothes. Then they took Daodu and Mayomio, who had just woken up, downstairs to drink some water and prepare for breakfast. This morning, after Wu Ma had breakfast with everyone, she set off for home. Well, she had come to Kyoto this time to attend the competition and see how her son and nephew performed in the world's #1 martial arts competition. Unexpectedly, she had been with her 4th junior brother yesterday. Although he did not take any action in this operation, he had frightened the seniors of the Han Country Martial Arts Association so much that they did not even have the courage to take action, and could only let the people of the Huaxia Security Bureau manipulate them in various ways. Don't think that the Hangguo Martial Arts Association is timid and submissive at critical moments, not daring to say a word and can only behave itself. When it comes to the international martial arts world and facing the Chinese Martial Arts Association, they have always been arrogant and bossy. That's right, over the years, the Hangguo Martial Arts Association and many brainwashed Hangguo martial arts fans have been promoting a tacit historical consensus. That is the Chinese martial arts, which was passed down from the Han Kingdom. In particular, many fans of Hangguo martial arts have flocked to the internet and uploaded to Chinese social platforms a map of the area that their Hangguo ancestors occupied half of Asia thousands of years ago, and they also thoughtfully attached relevant historical papers. Not to mention, for this matter, the martial arts professors of the Han Kingdom submitted these papers directly to the top Western magazine, Martial Arts. Although the various citations and arguments in the papers were pure nonsense, ordinary Western people didn't care about that and accepted it directly. As a result, many Westerners now really believe that Chinese martial arts were really passed down from the Han Kingdom and developed. Chapter 329, San Wall, please subscribe and vote tilde. In response to the Hangguo Martial Arts Association taking the lead in making such inappropriate remarks in the international martial arts community, the Chinese Martial Arts Association has also refuted the other party point by point on major domestic online and offline media platforms, saying that the other party's inexplicable remarks are simply shameless, and advised them to take care of themselves. Otherwise, the Chinese Martial Arts Association will certainly visit you in the near future and have in-depth and friendly communication with you in the most appropriate way to resolve this issue. After all, it is everyone's responsibility not to believe in rumors or spread them. However, it is clear that the martial arts community of Han Country did not take this matter to heart, especially during the world's #1 martial arts conference, where they repeatedly used the fact that Chinese martial arts originated from Han Country in public. In terms of fist and foot power, the Han Country Martial Arts Association is certainly not as good as the Chinese side, but in terms of talking, this ultimate shameless skill of making something out of nothing, then the Chinese side is definitely no match for the other side. Not long ago, at a global press conference organized by the Chinese Martial Arts Association, where 4 martial artists who had advanced to the circulation circle, including Wu Jiantao, Yuan Huang, and Master Kongming, appeared together, a reporter from Wying Country stood up and asked a question to the spokesperson of the association about this matter. Regarding the Han Country Martial Arts Association, they have publicly stated many times recently that Chinese martial arts originated from Han Country. What do you think of this? What did you just say? Even though he was used to big events, the gray-haired, dignified spokesperson of the association looked stunned, whether intentionally or unintentionally, and even asked the other party to repeat the question. Regarding this issue, since I have just taken office, I am not very clear about many things in the domestic and international martial arts circle. Now, what I can tell you is that this statement is untenable. The truth of history speaks louder than words and will not be overshadowed by the distortion of right and wrong by certain countries. Such remarks will eventually be exposed in the eyes of the world's people, and their foxtail will be revealed. Finally, I reiterate that both China and your country should respect history, play their roles, and restore and protect the real and objective history on the basis of seeking truth from facts, so that the national humanities and cultural power can truly shine, and thus become a beacon and bright light to illuminate the way forward for the world. This Yingguo reporter. If you want to talk about Han Country, then just talk about Han Country. Why are you talking about our Wying Country? That's not right. It seems that we are not much better on this issue. Okay, I will go to your association for further interviews. Thank you. At most, he just forced a smile, looking depressed, and didn't ask any more questions. If the Han Country Martial Arts Association said that Chinese martial arts originated from Han Country, the Chinese people would just laugh when they heard it. They must have gone crazy because of losing to make up such a statement, right? Is it useful to talk about these things, or is the other party just trying to be disgusting? Well, whether it is the official association or ordinary martial arts fans in China, the reaction to this is more ridiculous than infuriating. However, faced with the serious and well-organized statement, the Martial Arts Association and some media in Yingguo could no longer sit still. If it is true that these clappers are talking nonsense about Chinese martial arts originating from Han Country, and it is generally acknowledged that our Wying Country martial arts originated from China, then wouldn't we be grandchildren? What the hell, my aunt can tolerate this but my uncle can't. Therefore, at this grand diplomatic occasion, when the Chinese Martial Arts Association was entering the world martial arts community, this Japanese reporter would bring up such an insignificant and trivial issue. When it comes to having fragile hearts, the Japanese and Korean peoples, no matter who you talk about, are both quite fragile. However, a reporter from Han Country was not convinced. After the reporter from Wying Country sat down, he stood up and angrily said to the spokesperson of the association at the press conference, "I think you are too arrogant. Our Professor Jin's research on the inheritance of martial arts in your country is based on the historical development of our great Han Country. It is a scientific result obtained through very scientific and objective research. How can you not acknowledge this result?" Spokesman: Wu Jiantao, Yuan Huang, Master Kongming, and others. I think you must not have read Professor Jin's paper. The first part of it clearly states that your country's martial arts appeared during the period when our Dahan Republic ruled the Yellow River Basin. You are not going to deny even this, are you? When he said this, he even raised his chin towards the podium, with a domineering look on his face. Although the land area of our Republic of Dahan is only equivalent to one province of your country, you cannot deny that we were once powerful. Don't forget, during the heyday of your country's Tang dynasty, Emperor Taizong of Tang was shot blind in the left eye by our General Yon Gisamun. My dear reporter from Han Country, my dear reporter from Han Country, please be patient and don't get too excited. Regarding what you just said, I have reason to believe that you are now making up a history that does not exist at all. Nonsense, how could this not exist? These have all been verified by our Professor Jin and our Han Country's historians, and have all been proven to be true. Hashidu-sak, I have a problem. The Chinese Martial Arts Association was so confused that they didn't know how to talk to this guy. At the same time, the reporter from Wying Country who brought up this topic jumped up and glared at him. Wait a minute, although I'm not very good at history, based on what you just said, and I just flipped through your country's crap. Sorry, it's Professor Jin's paper of less than 2,000 words. I found a big problem. How? The Hangguo reporter looked at him with disdain. If you have any questions, I can answer them for you. I can tell you that this great Professor Jin is my teacher. I can even recite all his published articles and papers. No matter what your question is, I can give you a perfect answer. Baka. The reporter from Yingguo immediately became angry and walked closer to debate with this guy with a mental problem. Soon, the two of them were debating in public about something that didn't even exist. One said, the things you just said are all fabricated and never existed. Another said, we have verified it. If you say there is no evidence, why don't you show us the evidence? You should prove it. Show us the evidence. Hey, this is Professor Jin's paper. The presupposition of the topic of this paper is wrong, the logical reasoning is wrong, and the referenced information is actually from the internet. It is completely nonsense. Then there is no such thing. There is no problem at all, as you just mentioned. You don't understand our Hanwen at all. If I say there's a problem, there's a problem. No. Have. Chapter 330 Meeting Conference. Please subscribe and vote. On the side, reporters and martial artists from other countries were stunned. In Han country now, anyone can be a reporter. Everyone present, although not all of them are well educated, still has a normal understanding of some historical common sense for what the Hangguo reporter just said. It's okay to just listen to it, but if you take it seriously, you'd be a fool. This reporter from Yingguo obviously has a correct understanding, but there is obviously something wrong with this way of communication. Bang, bang, bangs. On the rostrum, the spokesperson of the Chinese Martial Arts Association couldn't stand it anymore and slammed the table a few times, but the two guys were now face to face and very close to each other, and they couldn't hear the people next to them at all. It was estimated that they would start a dance battle. No, they were about to fight. The spokesperson gave a few words of advice, but the two of them just acted as if they didn't hear anything and continued to quarrel. Forget it, let the security guards on site ask them to leave. If they want to argue, let them do it outside. Our press conference still needs to go on. On the rostrum, a senior sitting at the back said this lightly. The host nodded in understanding and immediately told the two security guards standing nearby to ask the Yingguo and Hangguo reporters who were about to fight to leave the venue. All of a sudden, the hotel hall became quiet and everyone present breathed a sigh of relief. It's finally quiet. Those two people were so noisy just now. Next, no one at the scene cared about how the two reporters from Han country and Wying country were arguing outside, or even whether they would fight, but instead began to conduct this globally watched meeting and press conference as normal. Although this press conference was led by the Chinese Martial Arts Association, the protagonists were not the association, but the four chosen ones who entered the world's #1 martial arts competition. Originally, the Chinese Martial Arts Association did not plan to hold this press conference. If they had the time, wouldn't they do something more practical and contribute to the martial arts community? What's the point of doing all this nonsense? However, some small countries in other continents that have made it into the round-robin tournament have held press conferences to showcase their national martial arts style and strength to the world. Don't underestimate this small meeting and press conference. It can always attract worldwide attention and encourage young people from the surrounding areas of the country to come here to learn martial arts. It can even allow many talented children to obtain citizenship of their own country, enhance the foundation and strength of the domestic martial arts community, and even promote the development of domestic tourism and martial arts-related industries, etc. The benefits are not small. Although this is not the first time that China has participated, the Martial Arts Association has personally taken charge of the event, coordinating and organizing martial artists from various sects, military and police forces in the country. First, it built the country's top-level A-class martial arts league, and then linked it with top martial arts competitions, such as the world's #1 martial arts conference. The entire thing, from the beginning to now, seems to have been done quite beautifully. Many martial arts fans in the country cheered, and some even bought firecrackers and fireworks to set off on the day the results came out, releasing the unspeakable excitement and joy in their hearts. In China, seeing that there was no movement from the association, many martial arts fans became anxious and started to at China Martial Arts Association online, hoping that such a meeting and press conference could be held in China as well. After all, it was our first time participating, and we directly occupied 4 places in the Asian branch venue, sweeping the surrounding countries with a crushing momentum. The only country in the world that can do something like China is the United States in America, which has done it several times. As for this year, the Fighting World of the United States also occupied 3 places, and the other one was taken by a dark horse from a small country in South America. As for Europe, although it is also a place where martial arts are very prosperous in the world, there are too many countries which divide the martial arts world. Although martial arts all originated from monotheism, national boundaries separate people, and an integrated martial arts force has not been formed, but each is separated. For example, this year, the 4 qualifiers from Europe are from Italy, the White Flag country, Germany, and the White Bear country. It can be said that at this year's 4th World Martial Arts Tournament, the most eye-catching country in the entire world is China. All right. On the rostrum, the association spokesperson smiled and said, I think everyone must be eager to ask questions to our 4 protagonists, so now we invite our 4 young martial artists who have advanced to the next round to come on stage. The passionate music started playing, and the 4 people, including Wu Jiantao and Yuan Huang, who were sitting in the back, immediately stood up and walked towards the podium. Although this was the first time they had witnessed and personally participated in such a grand scene, as star masters, they were determined, and their expressions were calm and peaceful, and they did not show overly excited expressions or gestures. Yuan Huang from the Tiger Roar team, Wu Jiantao from the Tiger Roar team, Master Kongming from the Union Temple, and Dongfeng Yu from the Beidui sect, 4 young Chinese masters stood on the podium with microphones in their hands. Their extraordinary looks and calm demeanor impressed everyone in the audience. Among them, Yuan Huang, who seemed to be the best young martial artist, looked the most calm. His eyes were bright, his eyebrows were straight, his forehead was broad, and his heroic appearance was vigorous. Many women in the audience couldn't help but stare at him intently. However, Wu Jiantao gave a completely different feeling. His facial features were clearer and softer, and one look at him always made people inexplicably fond of him. Especially since he is the youngest among the 4, he feels like the brother next door and is the most approachable one. The next one is Master Kongming. He is the tallest among the monks, at 2 meters and 1 meter tall, and has the most astonishing physique among the 4. He just stood there with thick eyebrows and big eyes, silently leaning on the stage. The overwhelming momentum immediately put a lot of pressure on the foreign media friends nearby. As for the last one, Dongfeng Yu from Beidui Gate, his appearance and figure are the most extraordinary among the 4. Among the 4, his body proportions are the most perfect, especially his long legs. When he walks, he gives people the feeling that he has some very unique rhythm. With his sword-like eyebrows and bright eyes, and long hair that looks a bit like ancient costume, the phrase, gentleman like jade, is used to describe him. As soon as they appeared on the stage, flashes of light started flashing from the audience, and all the reporters kept taking pictures of them with amazement on their faces. Some reporters in the front row even asked them to pose and not stand there quietly. Chapter 330, One Fame and Profit. Please subscribe and vote for the monthly ticket tilde. The following question and answer session was quite lively. Some of the questions asked by these journalists from all over the world are quite normal, such as, what is your goal in this world? Number 1 martial arts tournament. What is your dream? And what do you think of a certain martial arts master from the United States? But soon their questions became tricky. However, these reporters, who are very good at stirring up trouble, soon discovered that these 4 young Chinese martial artists were surprisingly calm and responded to their provocations. Yes, that's right, it's a provocation. Of course, these reporters are not provoking Wu Jiantao and his group. They will bring up a certain expert from the United States or Europe who has also entered the cycle and ask them what they think of one of them or what they think of Chinese martial arts. Logically, this kind of verbal bickering before the finals has always been something that everyone in the Western martial arts media circles likes to see. After all, this way it creates both topicality and entertainment. Such operations are very common, but it seems that these martial artists are not very cooperative. They are all unusually humble and do not react at all to the almost provocative words of others. Whether it was Yuan Huang, the young master who was the best in contemporary China, or Wu Jiantao, a new generation warrior who was catching up, at most they just smiled and chuckled twice, not even saying a word. To be honest, most of the Western media reporters at the scene were very disappointed, but there were still some capable people among them. The day after I returned, the Post, published by the most authoritative Western magazine, Martial Arts, published a commentary titled Eastern Implicit Sarcasm and Arrogance. I just smile and don't say anything. This commentary starts off with a picture of Yuan Huang, Wu Jiantao, and the other 2 looking down from the rostrum with a smile on their faces. Well, there's nothing wrong with the shooting angle, but when combined with the title and content of the commentary report, it becomes a big problem. The most crucial thing is that although this reporter did not fabricate anything, he intentionally exaggerated some of the words used by Wu Jiantao and the other 4 when answering questions, which might not necessarily have some hidden meanings. in order to stir up the emotions of every reader who saw the commentary report. Well, as soon as this report came out, the martial arts world of the entire West, and even the world, became extremely lively all of a sudden. Martial artists from other continents who also advanced to the round-robin tournament circle spoke out one after another, angrily criticizing the 4 martial artists who advanced from China, saying that they should not be too arrogant, or they would cry and look for teeth on the ground one day. The 20 warriors who advanced, those traditional strong men from Europe and America, were familiar with such scenes and were relatively restrained. They did not follow these unscrupulous media to make some meaningless empty talk. Over the years, they have become very immune to the media's manipulation in this regard, and have not easily spoken out under the instigation of these unscrupulous media. In the past, compared to the pen-wielding journalists, the warriors in the competitive circle were too naive and were always led by the nose. Due to the instigation of some specious, 70% false and 30% true reports from the media, they became enemies with some of their peers and caused quite a famous scene. Just like Li Feilong, who came to the United States from China to study at university, once caused a famous scene when he came into contact with some masters in the United States fighting world. At that time, a well-known and prestigious commentator in the fighting world, after seeing Li Feilong's height of less than 1.8 meters and his thin and weak physique, directly stated that Li Feilong did not have enough talent to become a truly powerful fighter. He also said that he did not have a good physique and could not possibly defeat any famous professional fighter in our great country. Then he said something that people still talk about today: "If Bruce Lee can beat any famous professional fighter, I will kiss a pig's ass." It should be noted that when this famous speaker said this, he still had a buff added to him. That is, he was a famous professional-level fighting master, not just an ordinary professional-level fighting master. Ordinary people might not notice this small detail in this sentence, but Li Feilong was such a great man back then that he naturally saw through the little calculations of this famous speaker and directly declared that he would challenge the top 3 fighting masters among the young generation in the United States at that time. Those who can rank in the top 3 are naturally famous professional fighting masters. In these 3 challenges, Li Feilong won all 3 games with a score of 3-0. Then the American fighting world was suddenly in an uproar. Li Feilong was even invited by the host to appear on a TV program. Well, he was holding a pig on the program. Then he jokingly said to the host, "Hey, you have to apologize to me first, or I will pull out the 200-pound unwashed, muddy pig that I put backstage and let you kiss its butt instead of the butt of this cute little pig in my arms." The famous speaker knelt down on the spot, prostrated himself, and apologized sincerely. Only then was he allowed to kiss the butt of the little pig in Li Feilong's arms. This scene made the entire show, and the audience in front of the TV burst into laughter. But although this famous host was slapped in the face and even kissed a pig's butt, the show's ratings set a record for similar shows at the time and have not been broken to this day. Since then, he has become more famous and more popular in the United States and has reaped a great harvest of fame and fortune. While the outside world was in a turmoil, with all kinds of heated discussions about China occupying 4 places in Asia, Wu Jiantao and the other 4 qualifiers were not like the qualifiers from other continents. They began to participate in various commercial and entertainment activities under the influence of fame and fortune, and devoted themselves to the world of fame and fortune. It has to be said that over the past 10 to 20 years, most of the martial artists who have made it in the international martial arts world, especially in the Western fighting circle, have become accustomed to this world of fame and fortune. After becoming famous, many young martial arts fighters have continued to appear in various high-end events and have even been frequently photographed by reporters engaging in wild scenes in nightclubs. This phenomenon is not uncommon in the Western fighting world and has even intensified in recent years. Many talented young people who have become famous at a young age and have a bright future have lost their direction in life because of this world of fame and fortune, and eventually degenerate into self-degradation, becoming the stories of Zhang Yang that people talk about with relish. However, this kind of thing did not happen in China. Chapter 332, Follow-up, and interview. Please subscribe and vote tilde. Just like after Yuan Long and Wu Jiantao returned to the southern province of M, there were still many foreign media reporters conducting in-depth follow-up interviews and reports on them. After all, the mysterious Eastern martial arts are still very popular in the Western fighting world and the general public. A whole day of filming and interviews. After listening to the detailed explanation given by a person in charge of Beijing television, Wu Jiantao could not help but frown. This interview is also in cooperation with the official media of the European Union. The filmed content will be broadcast in the martial arts-related programs of the European Union media after appropriate editing and masking. The first thing he thought of was not cooperation, but rejection. I'm sorry, but I don't really want my personal life to be exposed to the public. He answered slowly but firmly. But the female director of Beijing TV frowned and said, Mr. Wu, don't worry. Our filming will try our best to avoid exposing some of your privacy, and we will let you review the finished product. If you think there is inappropriate content, we will cut it out according to your request and will never publish it. Next, she said that this would be written into the agreement and strictly enforced, and Yuan Huang, Master Kongaming, and Dongfeng Yu also agreed. The implication is that the three of them have agreed, so it's not good for you to be so special, right? Wu Jiantao had no choice but to suppress his dissatisfaction and ask calmly, so what will the filming and interview be focused on this day? Martial arts training or daily life? Well, that's of course martial arts training. Even if there is some daily life, it won't be much. After all, the audience of our show are all martial arts fans, and there is nothing interesting about daily life. Of course, if you have some unique skills, such as singing and dancing, or some musical instrument, well, we can film it if you have a certain level of skills and then edit it. Well, the female person in charge recalled a similar live interview she had done before, and there was a tragic car accident scene. At that time, the martial artist who was being followed and interviewed by their program suddenly got excited and said that he was a good singer. He then improvised a song, which almost made the people in the program crew cry for help, and the fans of this martial arts master in front of the TV also collapsed.
Is this singing? This is clearly fatal. That's why she added the sentence above the standard.
I'm a very simple person. I can't sing or dance. As for playing any musical instrument, I can't either. Wu Jiantao sighed helplessly. Why don't you just simply film a normal day of my martial arts training? You can also come to my house, but I have one request. My wife and my children cannot be in the shot. If they are accidentally photographed, they must be cut out. You can only film their backs at most. This must be written into the agreement.
Call.
Seeing that Wu Jiantao finally agreed, the female head of Beijing TV station finally breathed a sigh of relief. Well, before coming, she had been mentally prepared for this. After all, this talented warrior had always given people the impression that he didn't like appearing in front of the camera. He was very resistant to exposure, especially the kind of attention that was in the spotlight. Fortunately, he accepted it. Otherwise, their show this time would be really difficult. Okay, I'll include this in our agreement. Do you have any other requests now? Not yet, but I have one thing to explain in particular, which is that this time's filming and interview will try to avoid any negative impact on my family. Because of some of my wife and I's previous experiences, if you know about our previous experiences, you should understand.
Wu Jiantao explained.
The person in charge of Beijing TV was stunned. Yes, I saw in his profile before that he and his wife were bullied online. People's words are scary. I understand. We will definitely do a good job of preventing this. On the morning of the day when the program was recorded, before daybreak, the Beijing TV photographer and the female person in charge of the interview came out of the hotel. Lifting the heavy camera onto the business car, the male photographer looked depressed, yawned continuously, and muttered, "Why so early? That guy might be lying. He said he gets up at 5 every day to practice martial arts. Haha, do young people nowadays still get up so early to practice martial arts? Is he kidding me? Xiao Zhuang, what are you mumbling about?" The female host sitting in the front passenger seat turned her head and rolled her eyes at him. "I'm reminding you, don't talk nonsense. It's easy to offend people." Okay, I won't tell you. The photographer and driver started the car and headed towards Yunlu Garden. To be honest, the photographer was very unconvinced. Yuan Huang and Master Kongaming, who had already finished recording their programs, were both quite normal. They started filming at around 7 o'clock in the morning. But this is just different. It's okay to have all kinds of annoying restrictions that require attention, but it's just a one-day shoot and you have to get up so early.
Can you get up by yourself?
There was a hint of sarcasm on the photographer's lips. He was sure that Wu Jiantao would get up late later, so he was just waiting to see the joke. I will start filming right away and include your lateness in the video. I will make you awesome. The place where they lived was not very far from Yunlu Garden. After all, they had just taken a photo of Yuan Huang a few days ago. It was convenient for them that Wu Jiantao lived in the same community as him, and they didn't have to go to another place.
Arrive.
Driving the car to the open-air parking lot in Yunlaiyuan community, the Beijing TV photographer yawned, opened the car door, got out of the driver's seat, went to the back and took out his food from the back seat. "Sister Lei, when will that guy come? Didn't we agree to meet here at 5 o'clock? After getting the camera, drone, and other equipment ready, the photographer turned around and looked to the other side, only to see his colleague holding a mobile phone with a hesitant look on his face, which made him sneer. See, what did I say? I said that guy said he gets up at 5 in the morning. The two of them fell silent for a moment under the street light, just as Sister Lee was hesitating whether to call Wu Jiangtao. Suddenly, two light footsteps were heard from the silent night. Good mornings. The person approached them quickly, but it was not just Wu Jiangtao. There was another beautiful figure that made people unable to take their eyes off. Good mornings. Chapter 333. Begin to ask for subscriptions and monthly tickets. The person in charge here, Sister Lei, and the photographer Xiaozhuang also greeted them. Oh, this should be Mrs. Wu, right? Sister Lee had seen some information about Wu Jiangtao, from Beidou of course, and there were some photos of Chen Jun there. When I saw the photos at that time, I felt that she was so beautiful, most likely it was a photo scam. Unexpectedly, when I saw the real person, I was so shocked by his figure and appearance that I almost couldn't react. Being able to enter China's top Zhongjing TV station and grow step by step to her current position, Sister Lee is also a rare beauty. Although she is already in her early 30s and has not yet married, it is no exaggeration to say that the number of people pursuing her and the fan club who regard her as a goddess can line up outside the fourth ring road of Kyoto. However, when she saw Chen Jun's clear and bright facial features, especially her eyes that were as bright as the starry sky, even she couldn't help but marvel. Isn't this so beautiful? No wonder Wu Jiangtao didn't want his wife to appear on camera. She's so beautiful. It would definitely cause a sensation and would definitely cause a lot of trouble. When they were talking before, Sister Lee thought Wu Jiangtao was a male chauvinist, but considering what happened to the couple before, she no longer thought so. Then let's follow the shooting process we determined before and start now. The two families exchanged greetings, and Sister Lee from Beijing TV didn't waste any more words and went straight to the point. Good. Xiaozhuang start. Photographer Xiaozhuang immediately set up the camera and started the drone. The day's practice starts with standing still. Wu Jiangtao naturally squatted down without hesitation and became a very standard four-horse stance. Then, Chen Jun took out a bag from the backpack behind him. Sister Lee and Xiaozhuang, who were standing nearby, saw that she was holding a bag of apples and were immediately filled with confusion. The next moment, she took out 5 big apples from the bag and placed them on Wu Jiangtao's 2 knees, the wrists of his left and right hands stretched forward, and on his head. Seeing that the two of them were somewhat stunned, Chen Jun smiled and explained to them Wu Jiangtao's standing practice. Wait a moment, let me ask you something. Can you record what you just said? There's nothing taboo about this that can't be passed on to Liu Er. It's okay, you can record it. Chen Jun curved her eyebrows and smiled sweetly. The reason why Sister Lee recorded the audio was that she instinctively thought that all of these could be integrated into the narration that could be added during post-production. Thinking about what Chen Jun had just said about the 4-level horse stance, it sounded very complicated. Next, Chen Jun started to introduce the internal martial arts standing practice, and then went on to explain how difficult the standing practice that Wu Jiangtao was practicing was. Sister Lei was also very curious at the scene, and imitated it from an angle beyond the camera's shooting angle. Loud. On weekdays, although she often goes to the gym to run and do equipment training, when she imitates Wu Jiangtao's standing meditation posture, she finds that many of her movements are not up to standard. She couldn't squat down, couldn't separate her hips, and her buttocks couldn't help but stick out backwards. The movements were so ugly that even Chen Jun couldn't help but correct them, but she couldn't make her movements more natural. No matter how she looked at it, it looked awkward. Ouch, no, I can't stand anymore. Sister Lee straightened up by holding her waist and rubbed her thighs. It's been less than a minute and I can't stand it anymore. How did Mr. Wu do it? It's amazing. In fact, it is very simple to perform the standard movement. You just need to open your hips and stand in the horse stance. As he spoke, Chen Jun slightly separated his legs and squatted down into a very beautiful square horse stance. It was different from the motionless feeling of Wu Jiangtao next to him, and it was another completely different charm. Xiaozhuang, have you practiced this too? Sister Lee was stunned at first, but then she realized, oh, you are the wife of a martial arts master like Mr. Wu, so you must be good at both. I guess so, but I don't actually practice much. I mostly practice yoga outside of work. Yoga, speaking of it, I've always wanted to learn it, but I've been too busy with work and never had the time to learn it. As they were chatting, Sister Lee suddenly remembered that she was working at the moment, so she quickly stopped the topic and went back to the main theme of the program recording, asking Wu Jiangtao some questions about the Zhuanggong. Mr. Wu seems to be moving, but the movements are very slight. If you don't look carefully, you can't see it at all. Ha, you finally found out. Chen Jun's eyebrows curved. I just wanted to remind you. Sister Li over there immediately asked Xiaozhuang to take a detailed picture of this. The four-level horse stance is actually the horse stance in the traditional Chinese martial arts. The horse stance is something that most people can learn after just one look, but there are actually mysteries to it. Can you tell me more specifically? There are two types of horse stance, dead horse and live horse. Most people just stand there without moving, but this is wrong. It will only make the muscles and tendons stiff and hard. The real horse stance will have slight ups and downs while standing and move the blood in the body during this process. This kind of exercise may not seem to move much on the surface, but in fact the blood and qi in the body are moving. The two of them were chatting while conducting the interview and were enjoying it, but Xiaozhuang on the other side was so bored that he almost fell asleep while holding the camera. Shit, he moved a little while holding the camera and changed the shooting angle of Wu Jiantao, who had been standing on the pile for more than 10 minutes. Although I no longer have to carry a camera to shoot, it's still tiring to stand like this, right? So, how long is this kid going to stand here? Won't his feet get tired? How long does Mr. Wu stand like this every day? Sister Li finally asked this question. My husband practices the morning meditation, which usually lasts about 30 minutes. Sister Li was fine, she didn't look surprised, but the one next to her, Xiaozhuang, his face was somewhat broken. So long. Can you please hurry up? I'm going crazy. To be honest, Xiaozhuang has worked at Zhongjing TV station for 5 or 6 years. He considers himself knowledgeable in the photography industry, but this is the first time he has met someone like Wu Jiantao. Finally, these extremely torturous 30 minutes passed, and he finally breathed a sigh of relief, but Wu Jiantao still stood there quietly, showing no sign of stopping. Xiaozhuang felt his hands were sore from holding the camera stand, but the other party completed such a move that broke the human limit without blushing or sweating. Grass. Next time there is a similar program, whoever wants to come and film it can come. I definitely won't come. Chapter 334, Turning Qi into Arrows. Please subscribe and vote for me, Tilda. To be honest, Xiaozhuang has never been so eager to see the subject of his photo shoot flip over as he is today, for no other reason. It's so fucking painful. In their program, most of the celebrities that they follow and interview come from all walks of life, and they have followed and interviewed more than one famous martial artist, except for a few. Well, even these few don't have as much personality as this gentleman. Are you really practicing martial arts in front of the camera? Don't be so honest. However, Xiaozhuang, who was a photographer at the scene, had no say because he was not the planner and host of the show. After waiting for 30 minutes, Sister Li and Chen Jun had already found a place to sit down and continued to record the interview while paying attention to the filming here. Xiaozhuang lived in Bengbu. Finally, he could not help but leave the camera for a moment and said to his partner Sister Li, Mr. Wu's practice at this stage has not yet ended. Sister Li then noticed that more than half an hour had passed. Seeing her colleague looking so tired, she couldn't help but frowning. But she didn't say anything. Instead, she turned and looked at Chen Jun. It doesn't necessarily have to be 30 minutes. If my husband feels that he can further break through the limit of his physical strength, he will extend the training time. Xiaozhuang, have to. He took a deep breath and didn't say anything else. Instead, he turned back to his work and continued to stare at the camera. Finally, when 46 minutes had almost passed, Wu Jiantao, who had been standing still, slowly opened his eyes. Almost at the same time, Sister Li and Chen Jun beside him came over and reminded Xiaozhuang to take good pictures of this crucial moment. Well, just now Chen Jun specifically told them both that when her husband finishes practicing the standing meditation, there will be a very magical sign. Meteorological. At first, Sister Li and Xiaozhuang didn't quite understand how this word could be applied to Wu Jiantao, but the next moment, when they saw a breath of air spurt out from his mouth, it turned into a sharp arrow like a white rainbow, flying out and actually broke the branch of a tree more than 10 feet away. Not to mention the two of them, even Chen Jun was seeing this for the first time. Good, this is so magical and amazing. Sister Li's eyes lit up and she quickly said to her partner, how is it? Have you taken all the photos? Show me now. What? Xiaozhuang looked depressed. Yes, he had some, but he didn't capture them all. Wu Jiantao's breath was exhaled too fast just now, and the camera didn't have time to capture the white rainbow when it passed through the air. Sister Li watched the replay and felt a little disappointed. She asked him if he wanted to ask Wu Jiantao to retake the video. Xiaozhuang shook his head and said, it will be the same if we do it again. He shot it too fast. I can't keep up with him. Immediately, he pointed to the drone floating above his head that was filming from above and said, however, the drone captured the picture from another angle. Wait a minute, I'll use my phone to show it to you. On the other side, Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun also came over to take a look out of curiosity. Not bad, the completion is acceptable, that's it. Sister Lee nodded. That's it. As long as the drone can capture the distant view, that's fine. I'm already looking forward to how much of a sensation this episode will cause after it's aired. I have filmed so many martial arts masters before, but no one has ever shown such amazing skills in front of the camera. In fact, it's not that they are unwilling to do so, but they want to do what Wu Jiantao did just now, which is not something that ordinary star masters can do. It requires 30 to 40 minutes of standing meditation to accumulate strength like Wu Jiantao. At the same time, the internal strength and the qi and blood in the body must reach a certain level to be able to transform qi into arrows. Otherwise, the most this breath can do is to make the tree rustle. Wu Jiantao was stunned. This was inconsistent with his original intention of keeping a low profile. If many young people saw this and ran to him to kowtow and become his disciples, wouldn't he be extremely annoyed? While he was lost in thought, Sister Lee and Xiaozhuang on the other side were very satisfied. Not bad, not bad. It was worth it for them to get up so early, especially the latter who were extremely excited. My shot just now was very good, whether it was the close-up of the moment when Wu Jiantao's breath turned into a rainbow or the overall shot from above. Except for the lack of breath, the other parts were perfect. Very good. Next, the part where Wu Jiantao ran and practiced boxing on the small island in the middle of the river was relatively easy. Xiaozhuang just had to remotely operate the drone to follow and film. At around 6 o'clock, but not yet 7, he finally finished filming his morning practice. Hey, the Kachin. After hearing what Wu Jiantao was going to do next, Sister Lee looked a little confused. She couldn't help but look up and down at the young man in front of her. Can you cook? Fortunately, she reacted in time and stopped talking, and didn't say this directly. Chen Jun next to him also said with a smile that Wu Jiantao prepared all 3 meals at home. Do you want to take a picture of this? Wu Jiantao asked. Okay, I think it's good. Sister Lee pondered it for a while and found it quite fresh. Although the program she was in charge of had also followed and interviewed national treasure level chefs, a martial arts genius like Wu Jiantao could actually cook. He said he was actually quite good at it. It sounds great, let alone translates to the screen. All right then, Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun took them both home. By the way, now that both of you are out, what about the baby at home? Suddenly, Sister Lee asked. It's okay, my mom is at home, Wu Jiantao said with a smile. Mother Wu didn't come here specially because she knew her son was going to be filming today, but she was thinking about her 2 little grandchildren. Yesterday, she brought an old duck and some mountain delicacies from her home to visit them. When they walked into 903 and saw the scene inside, Sister Lee and Xiaozhuang's eyes suddenly lit up, and they looked at each other in tacit understanding. Sure, we can give some shots. Like there are tea sets over there, and we can let Wu Jiantao make tea casually, and then have a tea party-style interview, which would feel good. As soon as they came in, Wu Ma, who was taking care of 2 babies in the room, immediately noticed the noise and came out. Are there guests in the house? Hello, aunties. Sister Lee hurried forward to say hello. Hello. When Wu Ma saw the appearance of Sister Lee, her eyes immediately lit up. As for Wu Jiantao, he introduced Sister Lee and Xiaozhuang to his mother, then turned and walked towards the kitchen. Xiaozhuang naturally followed him with the camera. Chapter 335. Which mother is here to ask for subscriptions and monthly tickets? Come, sit down. Wu Ma enthusiastically took the hand of the female host of Beijing TV and sat on the sofa. At this moment, Sister Lee inexplicably had a bad feeling in her heart. To be honest, the look in the eyes of the aunt in front of me and the warmth she gave me were so familiar. This is the same as when I go home during festivals, and the gossipy aunts and some aunties I have never met come to my house and look at me with this kind of eyes. Well, at this moment, just like that moment. Sure enough, the questions the aunt asked her next confirmed her premonition. Moreover, the opponent is very powerful. She didn't ask me if I had a boyfriend right away, but instead held my hand and said I was too thin. She scanned me up and down with her sharp eyes and could tell from my exercise that I had some bruises. She looked at my face and could tell my physical condition pretty well. Then, based on the few words she said to me, I concluded that I didn't have a boyfriend. Sister Lei was really confused. No, aunt, don't worry, I have a plan in mind. Listen to me, I'm going to lie, I have a boyfriend. But who is Wu Ma? From the moment she sat down and started chatting, she had a firm grasp on the rhythm of her speech. All I can say is there's always someone better. Sister Li believes that she is good at speaking and dealing with all kinds of people. However, when she meets an elder like Wu Ma, she is like Monkey King falling into the palm of Buddha, and she can no longer jump. In just a few words, she let it slip that she didn't have a boyfriend. Once the door was opened, she naturally fell step by step, especially when Wu Ma took the opportunity to give her a massage and therapy. Girls, you have to take care of your body. You can't always wear high heels. Look at your ankles and calves. Oh. Wu Ma sighed, I can understand that young people like to look beautiful nowadays, especially girls like to wear skirts, but you really need to protect your calves. Xiao Li, do you have severe uterine cold and menstrual cramps? Oh. Li Ruobing, who had transformed into Little Lei, was stunned and replied subconsciously, Aunt, how did you know? I can tell when I see your calves are a little blue. Wu Ma actually picked up her calves and placed them on her knees. Aunt, there's no need to do this. After all, they had only known each other for a short time, so she felt a little embarrassed. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. I'm also a Chinese medicine practitioner. Just treat me as a doctor. As she spoke, Wu Ma pointed to the inside of her calf. Here, the liver meridian of the human body is located on the inner side of the leg, passing through the genitals and lower abdomen. If the liver meridian is exposed to cold, it is easy to cause discomfort in the lower abdomen and genitals, and it is easy to cause uterine cold and dysmenorrhea. You see, it's icy cold here, even blue. I am sure you must have this problem. So that's how it is. We Chinese have an old saying, cold starts from the feet. The feet are farthest from the heart and are most susceptible to cold evil. When the legs are cold, they are prone to leg pain, coldness, swelling, cramps, poor flexibility, and other problems. Oh my! As Wu Ma's hands rubbed slightly harder, Li Ruobing couldn't help but cry out in pain, causing the partner who was filming Wu Jiantao cooking in the kitchen to almost put down the camera and run over to see what was going on. But soon she felt pain in her feet, from the soles to the calves and then to the knees. She felt so warm and comfortable that she lay down on the sofa and almost fell asleep. Well, this warm feeling makes people feel very sleepy. Li Ruobing naturally didn't know that Wu Ma's technique also concealed the hidden power of a master. It went straight through her skin, and the powerful energy went straight to the deep acupuncture points and even to her tendons and bones, naturally activating and moving her qi and blood easily. The blood circulation effect of a star master when he moves his own energy and blood within just a few minutes. You know, even a full-strength warrior cannot move his own qi and blood, let alone help others move it. Only a star-level master like Wu Jiantao, who has mastered the whole energy circle, can move his own qi and blood. This peculiar method of physical therapy is not uncommon. The principle of acupuncture in traditional Chinese medicine is the same as it. The most interesting thing is that if a martial arts master wants to let his younger disciples experience how the power works, he can also let them experience the root of the power running in the body through this method. To some extent, this is really a bit like the infusion of internal strength. Once the younger generations have mastered the circulation of internal strength in the body, they will naturally learn the mysteries and improve their strength. By the way, this method is called initiation in Tantric Buddhism. When Xiaozhuang followed Wu Jiantao out of the kitchen and saw the situation in the living room, he was speechless. Li Ruobing still couldn't resist the sleepiness and fell asleep with his eyes closed on the sofa. A blanket covered his body. Well, it seemed that he had slept for a while. However, just when he wanted to talk to Wu Ma, he was shocked to find several shiny silver needles stuck in her head, and he was immediately frightened. This, what is it? Xiaozhuang almost turned around and ran away. There are so many silver needles stuck in the head. Is this life-threatening? Seeing everyone looking at him in confusion, he realized that he might have misunderstood. After Wu Ma explained to him that this was acupuncture in traditional Chinese medicine, he breathed a sigh of relief. Taking a closer look, he saw that Li Ruobing was sleeping soundly, his chest rising and falling slightly, and his face had a slightly healthy blush. The moment she woke up again, the girl's eyes widened suddenly and she stood up suddenly. Oh no, what time is it now? How long have I slept? Damn it, I came here today to record a show. If I get delayed, how did I fall asleep just now? At this moment, she blamed herself. Not far away in the restaurant, Xiaozhuang was sitting and having breakfast. As for Wu Jiantao and the others, they smiled at each other. Wu Ma smiled and stood up and came over. Are you awake already? It's not even 8 o'clock yet. How do you feel? Li Ruobing also looked at the time. It was only 7:41. But just now, she clearly felt like she had slept for a long time. What? She couldn't help but stretch her body gently and felt relaxed and refreshed. I haven't felt so relaxed in a long time. The soles of my feet felt soft and comfortable when I stepped on the ground. Chapter 336. Not, please subscribe and vote tilde. Holding her rumbling stomach, Li Ryubing came to the restaurant under the guidance of Wu Ma and saw Daodu and Mayomeo, who were being fed for the first time. Wow, so cute. Seeing the two plump, white, jade-like little guys, she immediately became very fond of them. She went up to them and greeted them despite being extremely hungry. Hi Zayadaudu, Zyomie tilde. Ala, giggle. Although the ant in front of them was a stranger, Daodu and Mayomeo, who had grown up a lot now, were no longer as shy as before. They took the initiative to reach out and touch Li Ryubing, who was standing very close to them. Love it. Maybe it's because of her age. Li Ryubing likes children very much now. Every time she sees a baby in a swaddling cloth or a big baby walking on the ground, she can't help but want to go over and get to know them. Sitting at the dining table, she played with the two babies while eating breakfast. As soon as she picked up a soup dumpling and put it in her mouth, she was stunned. As soon as he took a bite, he tasted the full soup, which was sweet and pure. The meat filling was very delicious and tender, and the buns were chewy and soft. He put it in his mouth and took a casual bite. The feeling of the soup bursting in his mouth made Li Ryubing unable to help but swallow it directly in one gulp. This. Xiaozhuang next to her held up his cell phone and took a picture of her eating the soup dumpling. Well, he deliberately didn't remind her just now, because he wanted to see how his partner would react after eating the soup dumpling. Ha, as expected. Come on, it tastes better with barley and millet porridge. As soon as Wu Ma said this, the girl had already started eating. A mouthful of refreshing millet porridge paired with the fragrant and delicious soup dumplings instantly pierced her soul. Isn't this delicious? Will I be able to eat such delicious soup dumplings again in the future? As Li Ryubing devoured his meal, he couldn't help but have this thought in his mind. Ha tilde. Holding the bowl and drinking the last mouthful of rice porridge, she couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. Such delicious food is like a gift from God. Forehead. After finishing the portion in front of him, Li Ryubing noticed that Wu Ma and others were looking at him. Even the two little ones were staring at him blankly. You're such a good cook. She looked at Wu Jiantao in amazement. This must be of professional level, or even higher. As a well-known host of Beijing TV, Li Ryubing has traveled extensively over the years and has seen the best in various industries. She is no stranger to the profession of chef, but she has also come into contact with this level of cuisine. I feel that he is almost the same as the famous state banquet chef I interviewed a few years ago. No, maybe I was wrong. Maybe the old man is more powerful. After breakfast, Li Ryubing did not rush to start the next part of the interview. Instead, he went downstairs for a walk with the family and played with the two babies. As for Xiaozhuang, he returned to their work vehicle and lay down to rest. Well, they got up too early in the morning, especially to film Wu Jiantao's morning practice. Plus, they had eaten a lot for breakfast, so they felt a little sleepy. As for the complaints I had towards Wu Jiantao from the beginning, they had completely disappeared because of the breakfast attack just now, for the sake of the delicious food. Well, actually, it's just that you are soft-hearted. Back to 903, the two little guys ran to the game room. When Wu Ma came this time, she brought them some toys. Children like new toys, so they were naturally very curious. Even Daodu, who always liked to play on the slide, didn't go to play on the slide. The two of them hugged each other and had a lot of fun in the game house. Li Ryubing's eyes lit up at this scene, and she really wanted to go over and hold the two sweet and soft babies in her arms. Helpless because of work, she could only force her attention back to the coffee table and prepare to start the next interview. My general outline of questions will cover the following aspects. Mr. Wu, if there is anything you find inconvenient to talk about, please tell me. Wu Jiantao took the notebook she handed over, took a quick look at it, and nodded. No problem. Okay, let's start now. At the beginning of the interview, Li Ryubing keenly discovered that Wu Jiantao had a very unique charm in brewing tea, and quickly signaled Xiaozhuang next to him, who immediately began to take targeted photos of Wu Jiantao's movements while brewing tea. The following interview content was nothing new, and even the content was very ordinary, just about Wu Jiantao's daily life and work. Well, this interview with Wu Jiantao is about daily life. This is also the result of the joint efforts of Li Ryubing and the department team. After all, the biggest difference between him and the other three qualifiers is that he does not want to be too popular and does not want this popularity to affect his life, especially his family. Considering these aspects, Li Ryubing proposed to use simplicity, veracity, and authenticity, which fits the temperament of a boy next door like Wu Jiantao. It must be said that the planning content and interview content look ordinary, but combined with the overall shooting style designed by Zhao Zhuang, the overall program effect is very simple and quiet, with a rustic and natural charm. Among them, Wu Jiantao's natural yet graceful movements, while making tea from beginning to end, added the finishing touch to the overall picture of this interview. Not bad, not bad. In the afternoon, Li Ruoping and Zhao Zhuang finally finished their work for the day and looked at what they had filmed today on their computers. It was very good. After some post-production, it may not be a big hit, but it will definitely attract a lot of attention. At this point, today's filming and interview work has finally come to an end. Mr. Wu, thank you for your cooperation today. Before leaving, Li Ruoping happily shook hands with Wu Jiantao, turned around and glanced at Chen Jun beside him. Zhaojun, remember to let me know when you return to Kyoto. Okay. Even though they had only known each other for one day, they got along very well and were showing signs of becoming close friends. Just as Li Ruoping and Zhao Zhuang were bidding farewell to their family and were about to leave, Wu Ma came over and took her hand, speaking to her earnestly. Behind them, Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun heard it clearly. Zhao Bing, you saw the photo just now. I gave him your WeChat ID. You two can have a good chat later. It just so happens that he is also working in Kyoto recently. The couple. Chapter 337 is fake. Please subscribe and vote for me, Tilda. Like I said, he's a soldier. His job is rather special, and he'll be moving around every few years. But if he's a good match for you, he won't be moving around so much in the future. You should think about it carefully, Tilda. Auntie and Mr. Wu, please don't see me off. Zhao Zhuang and I will go down by ourselves. It's okay, it's okay. You've come all the way here and it's been hard. The person Wu Ma introduced to Li Ruoping was Wu Jiantao's 7th senior brother. Yes, that's right, it was the Zhaoqi who went to M University with his uncle Yuan Long and took away M University's Chen Mei. Wu Jiantao only remembered that he had seen senior brother Zhaoqi when he was very young. He had not seen him much since junior high school. At most, he would appear for a few days during festival. By that time, he was no longer close to this senior brother. Later, when he went to high school and college, he saw each other even less often. In the past 2 years, when he got married, senior brother Zhaoqi came to visit him once, but left quickly. The two of them didn't even have time to say hello to each other. If he hadn't been close to him when he was a child and often pestered him to play, Wu Jiantao would have forgotten what he looked like. Brother Zhaoqi was very handsome when he was young, but I haven't seen him for a few years, and I don't know how much he has become now. However, he also heard a lot about senior brother Zhaoqi from his mother. It seems that because he works on the secret front of the Security Bureau, he is still single even though he is in his 30s. If he can succeed with Li Ruoping this time, it will definitely be a good match. In Europe, the capital of the white flag country is fenced. A day passed, and after a tiring day's work, Charles had a quick dinner and didn't want to move at all. He just wanted to lie on the sofa and relax without thinking about anything. Suddenly, he seemed to think of something, moved slightly, picked up the remote control, and turned on the TV. It seems that the interview program of the 20 new challengers who entered the round-robin tournament of the World No. 1 Martial Arts Tournament has started to be broadcast in the past 2 days. Let's see if there are any interesting newcomers. To be honest, although this World's No. 1 Martial Arts Tournament has only been held for 2 or 3 times, there have always been the same few people competing in the round-robin tournament. Originally, this would not make martial arts fans like him feel bored, but these veteran strongmen participated in various martial arts competitions, not just the world's No. 1 martial arts tournament, but also various other. And basically, as long as they participate, no matter what kind of martial arts competition it is, in the end it will be them fighting on the ring, which makes many Western martial arts fans very proud, but it is also accompanied by boredom. By the way, it is said that the ancient country of China has finally mobilized the real strong men in the martial arts world. I don't know what will happen, but it's probably tough enough. Charles thought lazily. After all, there are so many schools in our great Europe, from Grusa to the Crosssword, to the ascetic school, which have always been full of masters. If it weren't for the age limit for participating in this world's No. 1 martial arts competition, many peerless masters who are old but in peak physical condition would probably squeeze out the warriors from the east. I turned on the TV to the martial arts channel, and soon, a night scene appeared in front of me. Following the introduction of the Oriental woman in front of the camera, Charles also knew that today's protagonist was a young warrior named Wu Jiantao, entering the round-robin tournament of the world's No. 1 martial arts tournament, but only 26 years old. At this moment, even Charles couldn't help but lean forward and watch the TV program with interest. Soon the protagonist appeared. Under the arrangement of the host, this excessively young martial arts genius greeted him in front of the camera and formally introduced himself. Looking at his face, Charles' mouth twitched slightly. This is 26. This kind of skin, this temperament. He looks more like a 17 or 18-year-old boy, right? Charles, who was also in his 20s, stroked his stubble and couldn't help but open his phone camera to check his appearance. This is how I look like a 26 or 27-year-old, right? Soon, the martial arts genius in front of the camera began his morning training. He was just squatting there simply, and then a hand reached out from outside the camera and placed an apple on each of his knees, wrist, and head. Charles, what kind of practice is this? I can do it too. He couldn't help but stand up and squat down, imitating the other person's movements. But after squatting for less than a minute, Charles felt his knees suddenly twitch, and he cried out, ouch, and almost got a cramp in his legs and feet. At this moment in this land of Europe, countless young people in front of the TV learned Wu Jiangtao's horse stance like him, and found that although this action looks simple, it is almost impossible to do it so standardly, not to mention putting apples on the knees, hands, and head. However, a shocking scene appeared. As the narrator explained, the scene was accelerated when the warrior named Wu Jiantao was standing still. Like them, Charles' face was filled with disbelief when he saw that he had actually maintained this action for more than 40 minutes. It must be fake, right? This is definitely fake. Just as he was shaking his head in disbelief, a magical scene appeared. Wu Jiantao suddenly opened his mouth, and a stream of air suddenly gushed out of it. His words flashed across the screen like a white rainbow, and the next moment, the camera suddenly followed the white rainbow. Click! A branch of a tree not far away, as thick as a child's arm, was broken by the white rainbow. Charles and many martial arts fans in front of the TV. Before they could react, they saw the camera on the screen switch to a bird's eye view, showing the entire scene from Wu Jiangtao's breath exhaling to the moment. It turned into a white rainbow that shot out like a sharp arrow and broke the branches of the tree. God! Oh my God! This is absolutely fake. Fake. How could there be someone in this world who could use his breath to such an extent? If what happened just now was true, wouldn't it mean that he could hurt people with just a breath? Ring, ring, rings. Almost at the same time, Charles's cell phone rang. He picked up the call and heard his friend on the other end say excitedly, "Charles, did you just see the interview with the world's #1 martial arts conference? It's amazing." "Carrie, don't get excited. Don't get excited. This must be fake." But I asked a friend of mine who does video editing, and he just saw it, and he said it didn't look like it was photoshopped. Yeah. What? For a while, martial arts fans all over the world who saw the interview about today's world #1 martial arts tournament were all talking about it. But most people say that this is absolutely fake. Chapter 338, Bad Influence. In their impression, only superheroes in movies can possess such supernatural powers. How can a normal person, even a martial arts master, possess such power? Impossible, absolutely impossible. People with a bit of common sense don't believe it. Some martial arts fans even went to ask the most powerful martial arts masters in Europe about this matter. At first, these fighting masters didn't pay any attention to this until several reporters came up to them and asked about the world's #1 martial arts tournament, when they inevitably mentioned this matter. However, the Western media, mainly in Europe, are still the same. Although the jet as arrow that Wu Jiantao can do in the interview program has not been confirmed to be true, it has not been proven to be fake by the authorities. However, no matter which media reporters ask in front of the famous Western fighting masters, the questions they ask are surprisingly consistent, that is. May I ask, what do you think of Huaxia, Guojing TV's blatant fraud in this cooperative program? Do you have anything to say about China's use of exaggerated and fake methods to praise its own warriors? Perhaps the specific questions are slightly different, but the tone is surprisingly consistent. That is, they directly determine that the magical ability of jet as arrow, demonstrated by Wu Jiantao in this program, is a fake. King Kong Hop King Garcia, the top martial arts master in the Western martial arts world, said, "Anyway, I can't do that. Maybe the martial arts masters in China really have this unique martial arts technique, but I don't think it's useful. Even if this almost supernatural ability is real, so what? Can it give you an extra advantage in the ring? I think your claim that it's fake is a bit problematic. Then go and interview the person involved to confirm it. Don't come to me and accuse him of faking it. What if it's true?" Philip Hughes, a traditional European Gruser ascetic, said, "I heard that King Kong, that stupid and rough guy, could speak. I have something to say. Is there any need to interview and confirm this? This is fake. I find it ridiculous. After so many years, how can people still use this kind of witchcraft to hype up the mysterious Oriental Kung Fu? It's quite boring. Let's just meet on the ring. Howard, the first disciple of this generation, of the cross-sword school of the white flag country in Europe, I think it's quite interesting. Alex Bill Garcia, a rising star from the United States, said, I don't think there is any need for Mr. Wu Jiantao to lie. Perhaps this ability is as easy for him as eating and drinking water, because I know his strength very well. Gradually, this program has really fermented a small influence in the Western martial arts world. Not only martial arts fans are paying attention to it, but many masters who participated in the world's #1 martial arts conference have also noticed it. Some people don't care, some think it's ridiculous, and some are too lazy to pay attention. But most people don't think this is true. Only a few warriors who have come into contact with this generation of young Chinese masters in competitions know how to humbly say a few pertinent words. Most others don't care, and some even openly mock Huaxia Jingshi and Wu Jiantao. The popularity of this program even spread to China. Out of curiosity, martial artists in the domestic martial arts community also watched the video. The moment they saw it, they were filled with shock and speechless for a long time. As for many domestic martial arts fans, they took to the internet to criticize everything and Beijing TV. Damn it, this is embarrassing for the whole country. What era is this? They are still playing this kind of qigong trick. Is it interesting? At Chinese letter, I just want to ask, is it interesting? At Chinese letter, WHATS going on. Have you read too many martial arts novels? No, martial arts novels are not popular anymore. Fantasy and immortal cultivation themes are popular. Why don't you make a flying sword and let it Chinese letter, ride it to the sky? Hurry up and go to the sky. It's so embarrassing. At Chinese letter suggests that the relevant responsible persons be investigated and Wu Jiantao's eligibility to participate in the competition be revoked. What a joke. I'm so ashamed for you at Chinese letter. Please deal with this quickly. Is this the only thing that our Chinese martial arts community needs? Originally, we were very happy to see our 4 young masters finally win the 4 places in Asia. We thought that our Chinese martial arts would return to the top of the world. Now look, these 4 places were bought, right? If that's the case, it can only be said that it is the tragedy of our Chinese martial arts. At Grandmaster Ma Yuanma, what do you think about this matter? For a time, martial arts fans in the Chinese sports world and even the martial arts world were all in an uproar. The internet was in chaos, with most people cursing Beijing TV and Wu Jiantao. Few people thought that Wu Jiantao's jet-like arrows in the show were real. Even if someone said a few pertinent words, they were directly drowned out by the surging public opinion. No one saw or heard it. At the same time, many domestic media outlets also took action after hearing the news. For example, Huaxia Nanfeng Daily immediately published a commentary article titled, Heartbroken. Such a good man cheated. At the same time, many influential media outlets also followed up and conducted various in-depth investigations and reports on the program hosted by Li Ruibing and Wu Jiantao. But what they said was mostly similar to what Southern Daily said. Most of them commented on the Beijing TV program and Wu Jiantao in a condescending manner, and even raised the level and commented on the current situation of the entire martial arts world. Well, it can be summed up in 4 words. It's so sad. How can we allow a shameless guy like Wu Jiantao to represent the Chinese martial arts community in the world's #1 martial arts conference? The Chinese Martial Arts Association should step forward to resolve the issue and calm the situation. We cannot let Western martial arts think that our Chinese martial arts community is a bunch of frauds and deceitful people. After all, it is still true that what the Western martial arts world and Western media say and think is important. And at this critical moment, the Seed Society spoke out. You can't do it yourself, so you accuse others of cheating. Ridiculous. As soon as this title came out, the whole world became fucking quiet. Western martial arts circles and major media. Chinese domestic media. Wu Jiantao, when did this happen? I was busy taking care of the baby, so I didn't know. Well, it wasn't until Li Ruibing contacted him on WeChat and asked him when he would be free to live broadcast his ability to transform energy into arrows directly through his mobile phone vibrato, so as to calm the current public opinion. We can't allow domestic self-media people, some self-righteous media platforms, and foreign Western media to fabricate stories, which will affect the international image of Chinese martial arts. Chapter 339, Everything has just begun. Li Ruibing, who was calling from the other end, was speechless for a moment, not knowing what to say. No, with such a big incident, you two never go online. If you watch TikTok for even a few minutes in the last few days, you can see it. All right. Li Ruobing had no choice but to give a general account of the current situation of the Beijing TV program interview. In addition to the accusations faced by the program team from all sides, he also specifically mentioned that Wu Jiantao's current situation is not very good. Of course, this kind of badness is only on the surface. After all, he is real gold that is not afraid of fire. What's more, the society has combined whether Li Ruobing has cheated or not, and consulted several seniors in the martial arts world, and has already figured it out, so they directly published that comment. Oh, since the seed company has already said so, isn't that enough? Wu Jiantao didn't take this matter to heart at all. I think it's best for you to use your team's TikTok account or the Security Bureau's official TikTok account to make a live broadcast or simply post a short video to explain. After all, your incident has not had a very good impact on the internet. There are still many people who don't believe in our program, let alone you. Oh, okay, I got it, thank you. Wu Jiantao thanked her, hung up the phone, and continued eating. What's the matter? At the dinner table, Chen Jun took a tissue to wipe the mouth of Xiao Daodu, who had a mouth full of food, and asked curiously. It's nothing, it's just that there was a little disturbance when Ruo Bing's program was broadcast on TV. He replied nonchalantly. Chen Jun immediately realized something was wrong and turned to look over with a serious expression. Well, as expected, he couldn't escape the sharp eyes of his wife. Wu Jiantao could only tell her about these messes on the internet. After listening to what her husband said, Chen Jun couldn't sit still. She immediately took out her mobile phone, opened TikTok, and watched a few short videos. She saw some related reports and comments. Well, some of the comments and videos by self-media people can make one's blood pressure soar. How could they do this? She was immediately angry. These people regard what the Western media and even the masters of the international martial arts world say as the truth and highly respect it. On the contrary, they question and criticize the voices of the domestic martial arts world and the comments of the society. Such behavior is actually given a nice name. If there is no freedom of criticism, then praise is meaningless. Yes, this sentence means that Chinese people can only criticize anyone or anything in the country, but cannot praise them, and can only praise people and things abroad, but cannot criticize them. Before this year, this phenomenon existed in all walks of life in China, and it was particularly serious in the martial arts competition circle. Whenever the domestic martial arts community commented on or criticized international or even Western martial arts masters, there would always be many people in China who would come out to ridicule, boycott, or even insult these remarks. What they said were quite harsh, saying things like, the quality of martial artists in the domestic martial arts world is low, and traditional Chinese martial arts is actually just dancing. Of course, the most crucial thing was that one of them had a huge impact, and even attracted the anger of the Chinese Martial Arts Association, and even people in the martial arts world, which was Chinese martial arts are not good, and they actually have the nerve to comment on the Western fighting world. In particular, in recent years, children from wealthy families have been studying in various aristocratic schools, all of which are very high-end courses studied by Western aristocrats, such as fencing and horse riding. If they can pass these courses and win some trophies in some international competitions, it is equivalent to prying open the door to famous Western universities. Countless families in China are flocking to them. In this case, it would be strange if they did not regard the voice of the West as the truth. After all, we have spent so much effort to go abroad and reach that position. How can we allow those peasants in China to question our level? In a word, after more than 10 or 20 years of commercial development in the martial arts world, domestic martial arts associations, and even knowledgeable people in the martial arts world have finally discovered that Chinese martial arts can no longer make its own authoritative voice. Even the remarks made by the Chinese Martial Arts Association would draw all kinds of ridicule from Western martial arts fans in China. Until last year, the Huaxia Martial Arts Association finally realized that even martial arts need a public opinion field and need to make its own voice heard. That is why we, against all odds, launched events like the Chinese Martial Arts A-Class League and linked them with the world's top events. Unlike other industries, if Chinese martial arts needs to make its own strong voice, it cannot rely on words alone. It must be played with punches and kicks. For this, the Chinese Martial Arts Association even applied for a casualty rate for the domestic A-level leg. Today, this visiting program of Beijing TV and the public opinion storm encountered by Wu Jiantao are the natural result of the invasion of Western martial arts culture into every corner of the Chinese public opinion field in the past 10 or 20 years. Originally, the seniors in the domestic martial arts world had always been content to live in seclusion, and most of them faded out of the world, encouraging their own children or disciples to join the security bureau or the police department. After all, Chinese martial arts require actual combat and the test of life and death in order to constantly break through the limits. As for competitions in the ring, most of them have too many restrictions. For example, Hangguo's World Taekwondo Open is the most unfavorable, as you can only kick. Therefore, arena competition cannot provide sufficient support and improvement to warriors. The end result is that there is such a huge disconnect between China's domestic martial arts community and the martial arts competition circle that they are almost forming two completely different circles. This has caused the martial arts community to look down on the martial arts competition circle over the past 10 or 20 years. After all, a good man either joins the army or enters the police department to serve the country with all his passion. This is the most correct way for contemporary warriors to practice martial arts. But it was not until recent years that martial artists suddenly discovered that people and things related to Western martial arts culture began to appear in their lives. In particular, the most popular ones in primary and secondary schools are always the Holy Cross Fencing Club, Equestrian Club, Taekwondo Club, and so on. However, the National Martial Arts Club, which represents Chinese martial arts, is deserted and has almost no people. This is the fundamental reason why the Chinese Martial Arts League A came into being. I thought that the Chinese martial arts had made great progress in this world's #1 martial arts conference, winning applause from all sides, and had reversed the image of Chinese martial arts and improved the authority of Chinese martial arts. But what in the end? The experience of Wu Jiantao and the Beijing TV program, which was subjected to such a large-scale cyberbullying attack on the internet, clearly told the martial arts world that everything is just beginning and there is still a long way to go. Chapter 340, New Year arrives. As soon as Li Ruobing hung up the phone about the incident that had happened to him, a leader from the Tiger Roar team called and asked Wu Jiantao whether he wanted to post a video through the security department and the team's official TikTok account to clarify the matter, or if he had any other ideas, he could raise them. No, I don't think there's anything to clarify. We warriors never clarify ourselves under the ring. There's no need. Do. The senior leader said cheerfully, "It seems that you have a good attitude. I thought you would be very angry about those comments on the internet." No, this isn't the first time I've encountered something like this. I don't think there's anything to say, just see you in the arena. Okay, as long as you know what's going on. After hanging up the phone, Wu Jiantao's daily life remained the same as before, calm and peaceful. Apart from the work at M University and the team, she practiced at home while taking care of the two babies. As for Chen Jun, apart from taking care of the two babies, she was busy with work at the research institute. As for the problems her husband had encountered recently, after confirming that it actually had little impact on him and the family, she would at most pay attention to the development of the situation and was too lazy to pay attention to anything else. However, although their family life was as normal as usual, many people around them heard the news and called to ask about the couple. It would be fine if they were just ordinary friends, but the people who called were also Wu and Chen's family members, so it would be quite troublesome to explain. In a blink of an eye, more than 3 months have passed, and the Spring Festival is here. Last year, I went back to Wu Jiantao's hometown to celebrate the new year, and this year, I went back to Chen Jun's hometown in Kyoto to celebrate the new year. Grandpa, Grandmas. As soon as they got home, Chen Jun and Wu Jiantao called the two elderly people. Grandpa Chen and Grandma Chen came out to greet them happily, and the two warmly dressed little ones called out sweetly, "Great-Grandma, Great-Grandpa Tilda. Hey, I'm glad you're back, I'm glad you're back." It has been several months since National Day. The two old people missed them very much. They immediately hugged them in their arms and walked into the house. Come in, it's cold outside." Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun at the back watched this scene with a smile, pushed their luggage from the courtyard to the living room, closed the door, and the cold outside was immediately isolated. I suddenly felt so hot. By the way, this was Wu Jiantao's first time to Kyoto in winter. He thought he would have to wear thick clothes at home, but when he got into the room, he suddenly became too hot to wear coats and had to take them off. I told you that you don't need to bring so many winter clothes, but you didn't believe me. Chen Jun gave her husband a reproachful look, took the coat from his hand, turned around and hung it on the hanger in the living room. How is this geothermal? Wu Jiantao was a little curious and felt it was very fresh. He stepped on the ground in his slippers and could clearly feel the faint warmth seeping out from the ground bit by bit. Come on, stop standing there and come sit down. Grandma Chen turned around and took out the snacks that had just been made in the morning from the kitchen, put them on the table, and called her grandson-in-law to come and sit down. As soon as he sat down, Grandpa Chen asked about the cyberbullying that Wu Jiantao had suffered recently, his face full of concern. Fortunately, it has calmed down a lot, he replied with a smile. Having said that, Wu Jiantao couldn't help but think of what he had seen and heard in recent days. Well, the internet has calmed down because it was covered by other hot news. In fact, the matter concerning him and Beijing TV is far from being over. Just like when they came by plane this morning, they had to take off their masks for the pre-boarding medical checkup, and they were immediately recognized by other passengers. AI, look, isn't that someone? Low. SHH, keep your voice down. I'm a star expert after all. What star-level expert? I heard from Europa Martial Arts News that he is at most professional level, and the previous matches were all fake fights. Didn't we do the same in Chinese martial arts competitions a few years ago? That's right, the Chinese martial arts have a long history, that's all a lie. If they were really that powerful, what were you doing? By the way, your kid signed up for a summer camp in Australia some time ago. Did he go? He went and loved it. Yeah, this is good. I will also ask my daughter to get one in the future. That Australian summer camp has a certain threshold. You have to have a combined level of swordsmanship and horsemanship of at least an apprentice knight to attend. Oh, that's so difficult. Of course, the night course of the Holy Cross is so popular now. It's not just about having money anymore. You also need talent. Low. When boarding the plane, Wu Jiantao heard the conversation between the two families 3 or 4 meters away very clearly, and his heart was slightly touched. At the same time, he also understood why the team suddenly received instructions from above a few days ago. Not only win, but win beautifully. It was precisely because of this sudden instruction that Wu Jiantao noticed the recent hot searches on TikTok and Weibo about the European chivalry spirit. Originally, this kind of hot search praising the so-called kendo and knights in the West would appear, but as soon as this thing appeared, it was compared with the thousands of years of martial arts culture and etiquette of Eastern China. What about Western chivalry has 8 virtues? What do Chinese warriors have? Western swordsmanship is a sport of temperament. Wearing a snow-white sword suit, a black helmet, holding a sword and swinging it gracefully, the charm of fencing will emerge, and fencing is not a physical fight like martial arts. It can also cultivate concentration and body coordination. Wearing a snow-white sword suit and swinging it gracefully can better cultivate the self-confidence of young people. For a time, praises of Western chivalry and Holy Cross swordsmanship popped up like mushrooms on the internet, and China's middle class and many wealthy parents also liked them, and shared and showed off their children on WeChat Moments, Weibo, and TikTok. At the same time, some patriotic self-media people in the country realized that something was wrong and refuted the claims one after another, speaking in an orderly and tit-for-tat manner. However, what they said was either banned or their voices were too small to cause any waves. However, what puzzled many self-media people was that this time, the China Martial Arts Association and the people in the martial arts community did not stand up and speak, but remained silent. For a while, all kinds of Big V accounts and parents on the internet who praised the Western chivalry and Holy Cross Kendo were even more excited. Look, the Chinese martial arts community hasn't said a word, so what else can they say? Chapter 340, One Sword and One Gun. The most important thing is that the first stop of the world's #1 martial arts tournament global tournament will be in China's Oriental Pearl, Shanghai. Why are Western chivalry and kendo suddenly so popular these days? Well, precisely because the Holy Cross swordsman in the Western martial arts world is known as the #1 swordsmanship master. Once in 1,000 years, Philip Augustus will be the first to fight and challenge one of the 4 qualifiers from China. It is worth mentioning that, in addition to holding the title of the #1 sword master at the time, Philip Augustus also had a very large industry in China. Yes, the world-renowned Augustus Holy Cross Kendo School has more than 200 branches in China. In recent years, this master has won the highest title of the World Kendo Open for 3 consecutive years. This year, he represented the United States in the World Martial Arts Conference for the first time and was one of the 4 qualifiers from the United States. This master, who is considered the world's #1 in swordsmanship, has a huge fan base in China. Although he has never lost a single battle since his debut, his swordsmanship is not limited to the Holy Cross swordsmanship, but also incorporates Eastern swordsmanship. His body movements are graceful, and his swordsmanship is simple and swift. On the ring, the number of people who can survive 3 rounds under his hands can be counted. On this day, the world-renowned swordsman arrived in Shanghai. As soon as he got off the plane and walked through the aisle, he saw a surging crowd in front of him. At the same time, a huge wave of sound was whistling towards him. Loud, Philly, Philly Sword Master, Sword Master. Philip Augustus was wearing a simple Western retro-style robe and had a slender figure. He was followed by an attendant who carried a sword on his back. Being able to carry weapons with you is a privilege for warriors. After all, warriors are greatly restricted in many aspects and naturally have things that are different from what ordinary people have. Carrying weapons with you is one of them. Of course, only masters with star-level certification or above are eligible for this privilege. Ordinary civilian professional warriors are not eligible. Philip Augustus looked at the surging crowd and was very satisfied, but he did not show it on his face. Instead, he raised his hand and waved to the crowd in a very elegant and calm manner. For a moment, these die-hard fans screamed even more crazily, and the crowd immediately surged over here. Fortunately, his security team was not a pushover, and they managed to withstand the impact of these fans. Arriving at the airport lobby, Philip Augustus still looked at the reporters in front of him helplessly. He had been thinking about whether he could avoid them. Mr. Sword Saint, your opponent this time cheated in the promotional program. What do you think? Mr. Sword Saint, what do you think of the current bad trend in the Chinese martial arts world? Mr. Sword Saint, this is your first time participating in the world's #1 martial arts tournament. Are you here for the title of the best in the world? Mr. Sword Saint, Mr. Sword Saint. The reporters rushed to ask questions, but the sword master did not show any impatience on his face and answered them one by one in a very friendly manner. It is worth mentioning that his attitude on the issue of Beijing TV and Wu Jiantao was to not comment. He just said lightly that strength is strength, and no matter whether the ability to transform energy into arrows is true or false, the outcome will eventually be decided on the ring. After hearing this answer, Philip's fans in China and many domestic media were very excited. They posted various comments on the official online account that night, and Wu Jiantao and Beijing TV's previous good deeds were once again trending on the search list. That's right, this time the opponent of Philip Augustus, who holds the title of Sword Master, is Wu Jiantao. This is also why his superiors had specifically sent him a message some time ago, asking him not only to win, but to win beautifully. It's fine that the Augustus Kendo Hall has made a lot of money in China over the years. After all, this is normal business competition, but on the cultural level, it has now reached the point where it has eroded the foundation of the Chinese martial arts world. This is intolerable. What is intolerable? On the night that Philip Augustus arrived in Shanghai, Wu Jiantao, who was still at his home in Yunlu Garden, F City, M Province, also received a call from the official of the world's #1 martial arts conference. Mr. Wu, Sword Saint Philly, requested that this match be classified as a T0 level competition. I'd agrees. On the other end of the phone, the staff of the competition committee wanted him to think carefully before making a decision, but before he could even finish his words, Wu Jiantao agreed without hesitation. T0 level competition. It is just like the era 100 years ago when the martial arts world still existed in China, where people signed a life and death struggle. Even though China's domestic A-League also has competitions at this level, domestic competitions still adhere to the principle of friendship first and competition second. Moreover, most warriors do not have any hatred at the level of the hatred of killing one's father or stealing one's wife. Therefore, so many competitions are all at the T1 level. A T0 level competition means that it is a life and death contest with no restrictions on striking positions, no restrictions on weapons, and no restrictions other than hot weapons, hidden weapons, and poisoning. That night, Wu Jiantao thought about his decision for a long time and finally told his wife. It would be a lie to say that she wasn't worried, but Chen Jun could understand her husband's approach. After all, this was what her opponents had always done before fighting in the ring. First, raise the requirement of T0 level competition. If the opponent does not dare, your side will then expose the momentum of attacking the opponent in the media, thereby gaining a strong momentum to surpass the opponent in the competition arena. After studying the information about Philip Augustus provided by the team, Wu Jiantao had anticipated this and was prepared. I have confidence in you. If you win this game, Mio, Daodu and I will be waiting for you at home. That night, Wu Jiantao did not sleep. Instead, he took out a 10-foot-long steel spear from the storage room at home. Then, he held one end of the spear with both hands and raised it forward. He stood quietly with his eyes closed all night. The next morning, he still stood there holding the gun, motionless. For the first time, he didn't make breakfast or lunch. Fortunately, Wu's mother was there, so Chen Jun didn't have to be alone at home to take care of the baby and cook. The day of the competition soon arrived. At 8 o'clock that evening, at prime time in the Grand Shanghai Stadium, Amid the shouts of Sword Master Philip from the vast majority of martial arts fans, Philip Augustus, dressed in ancient Roman warrior uniform, walked onto the ring very elegantly. At the same time, Wu Jiantao also stood on the stage. For a moment, the audience also erupted in cheers for Wu Jiantao, although it was much smaller than that of his opponent. The game begins. As soon as the referee finished speaking, the long sword at Philip Augustus' waist was instantly unsheathed, turning into a white edge that looked like a swimming dragon. Almost at the same time, the spear in Wu Jiantao's hand turned into a cold light and stabbed out with a bang. Puff! The tip of the opponent's sword stopped a full foot away from Wu Jiantao's forehead, while the tip of his tempered steel spear was stained with a heart-pounding blood red. At this moment, Philip Augustus' eyes were filled with astonishment, but the feeling from his throat was so real and so cold. He clearly heard the extremely familiar sound of blood spraying, but this time, the sound was not someone else's but his own. Chapter 342 Win. In fact, even a swordsman like Philip Augustus had only fought about 10 T0 level life and death duels with weapons masters in his career. It is worth mentioning that most of his T0 level life and death duels were duels that Philip Augustus had fought in his relatively early years. Therefore, when faced with Philip Augustus's request for a T0 level duel, most of his opponents refused and chose a T1 level duel instead. But once they make this choice, they will lose in momentum, and Philip will be able to take advantage of their fear of life and death to find their flaws in the mind, thereby suppressing their momentum in the ring and defeating his opponent. Not to mention, the weapon masters on the ring knew that a fight at their level, a blink of an eye, a little negligence, is the distance between life and death. Are you going to risk your life for a mere duel? In the more than 10 T0 level life and death duels that Philip Augustus had fought in his early years, he had always killed his opponent with one sword, using a speed that was one or even several times faster than his opponent, causing his opponent's blood to splatter on the ring. Later, his reputation gradually spread because he would require a T0 competition before every performance. This has become a routine requirement that Philip Augustus is famous for. However, with his current reputation and status in the sword world, most of the warriors on stage in the world today have rejected this request and are only willing to participate in T1 level competitions. In his opinion, people who are indifferent to life and death and will fight against their opponents have long disappeared in today's prosperous, peaceful world. However, this master with the title of Sword Saint overlooked that Wu Jiantao was not a martial artist in the Chinese martial arts competition circle that he knew, and he did not know what the difference was between the Chinese martial arts world and the Chinese martial arts competition circle. At this moment, his face was filled with astonishment and fear, and his mind was blank. Puff, puff, puff. I could hear the familiar sound of water flowing, and felt my chest being soaked, as well as numbness all over my body. It doesn't seem to hurt. At the last moment, such a thought inexplicably emerged in his mind. When his eyes were completely dark, he saw the referee and the medical staff under the ring rushing towards him. Wu Jiantao let go of the gun and let his opponent collapse to the ground. The referee and medical staff rushed over and immediately supported Sword Master Philip and checked his wounds. It's no use. After taking a look at the penetrating wound on Philip Augustus' neck, the doctor was prepared, but at this moment he still touched his neck diligently, then opened his eyelids and took a look, then sighed softly, turned to look at the referee beside him and shook his head. Good. The medical staff were handling the case here, and the blonde referee nodded and replied, while looking at Philip Augustus, who was lying dead on the ground with a chilling look, and could only turn around and raise Wu Jiantao's right hand. Wu Jiantao wins. Wow, 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 wows. Wu Jiantao. We won, well done. The entire stadium went from dead silence to a sudden burst of loud roars, and all the martial arts fans who came to see Wu Jiantao jumped up and cheered. How aggrieved they were before coming here, how happy they are now. Great, he is indeed my idol in martial arts. He was able to kill Sword Master Philly with one shot. This is the #1 Kendo master, who has won 3 consecutive World Kendo Open titles. Oh, by the way, he killed Philly in the competition, which means the next Global Kendo Open will definitely invite him to participate in the final qualifying round. Ha 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 ha, that's great. With Mr. Wu's strength, he will definitely be able to win the title of Sword Saint. Wrong, it should be Gun Saint. Yes. What? At the same time, in 903 in Yunlu Garden in F City, M Province, Chen Jun's tense mind finally relaxed. His eyes, as red as autumn water, were slightly red, filled with tears of joy and relaxation.
That's great, that's great. Winner.
It wasn't just her who relaxed all of a sudden, but also the witch mother beside her. Before this, she had studied the fighting video of a martial arts competition called Philly or Dujudu and explained it to her son. She was 70% to 80% sure that he could win, but even though she was sure, there was still an extra 20% to 30%. The most crucial thing was that in this weapon battle between masters, the difference between life and death could not be decided without any mistakes. Since ancient times, in the Chinese martial arts arena, as long as the duel was not a life and death duel, the opponents would wrap cloth on each other's weapon. This shows how dangerous the confrontation with weapons is.
This brat.
Wu Ma relaxed, and only then did she see the tears on her daughter-in-law's face. She hurried over to comfort her. It's okay, it's okay. In fact, there are seniors from our martial arts world on the sidelines. Even if he loses, he will be fine. Well, it took old man Wu a lot of effort to invite that senior to be present. The contemporary master was at the scene. As long as he was within a distance of 30 meters, even if Wu Jiantao was in danger of death just now, he would definitely appear in an instant to save his son's life.
What?
At the competition site, when Wu Jiantao came down from the stage wrapped in the 5-star red flag, a few steps away in the competition committee seating area, an old man with white hair and a youthful face and a well-proportioned figure sat quietly, looking at him with a smile. Not bad, not bad. The Wu family has finally produced someone who looks decent in this generation. There's hope. On the other side, Wu Jiantao, who had just stepped off the stage, suddenly frowned and subconsciously looked up, only to see an old man with an extraordinary demeanor looking at him. Their eyes met unexpectedly in midair. The old man smiled and nodded at him, and Wu Jiantao also hurriedly bowed slightly.
Master.
Perhaps other people might not be able to sense it, but Wu Jiantao, who has practiced tantric yoga, is quite unique in mental perception and can clearly feel the terrifying aura of this senior that is as deep as the ocean. Yes, the old man had told me before that there was an unfathomable master senior in the association, and it seemed that he must be the one.
Hey.
Seeing Wu Jiantao's reaction, the old man who represented the Chinese Martial Arts Association on the competition committee was a little surprised. This kid could tell his identity. Did the old guy tell him? No, he shouldn't have. If he had told him, this guy would definitely not have the momentum to fight against others with the determination to die like he did just now. In other words, this guy saw through me with his own eyes.
This boy has something. Chapter 343, Bad Luck.
Wu Jiantao didn't know that, at this moment of meeting, the old man had a clearer understanding of his strength. As soon as he stepped off the stage, before he had time to think, a large group of reporters swarmed over and surrounded him. Microphones were thrust in front of him, and all kinds of questions were bombarded at him. There is no doubt that Wu Jiantao has become popular again, the kind that has gone viral. After the competition ended that day, the martial arts competition circles at home and abroad finally had the most intuitive and clear understanding of the strength of Wu Jiantao, Yuan Huang, Master Kongaming, and Dongfeng Yu. After all, they had encountered similar questions about who was stronger and who was weaker among the four of them at their previous press conferences. On this issue, the four of them unanimously agreed that Yuan Huang was still the strongest among them. As for the other three, it was hard to say, and they would have to fight to find out. In response to questions from media reporters, even Wu Jiantao gave this answer very clearly. After the day's competition ended, the heart-wrenching scene of life and death remained imprinted in the hearts of many martial arts fans for a long time and would not fade away for a long time. Although on the screen, at the moment when Wu Jiantao's spear pierced through Sword St. Philip's neck, the camera intelligently recognized it, blurred the image instantly, and then zoomed out, so the bloody and horrible scene was not fully presented to people and was also avoided from being seen by children. But adults are different, especially martial arts fans. Although the picture is blurry, they are well informed and have already outlined the bloody and terrifying scene in their minds. This instinctive reaction is like the state of mind that one has reached after watching all kinds of movies. At the same time, the voices on the internet that had previously condemned Wu Jiantao for fraud in the Beijing TV program were instantly suppressed to only a few dog barks. Previously, the public opinion storm against Wu Jiantao and Beijing TV was originally hyped up by some internet trolls who changed their IP addresses in batches. Most of the people who followed were fans of Philly, the swordmaster in China, who stepped on Wu Jiantao and severely hyped up the Augustus Kendo Hall. Well, they talk about criticism and freedom, but what they actually do is business. The result. Today, their idol, Swordmaster Philip Augustus, was stabbed to death by Wu Jiantao in the arena of life and death. That move was so decisive and quick that it really caught these people off guard. However, the next day, the adverse consequences of this competition quickly fermented. Most of the kendo students from the more than 200 Augustus Kendo gyms in China left in an instant. As for those who remained, some had already obtained professional knight certification and were eligible to study abroad in some top universities in Europe, or some had been brainwashed by the Holy Cross Kendo and became die-hard fans of Sword St. Philip. The former has too much sunk cost. It is no longer a matter of the arrow being on the string. The arrow has already been shot and cannot be retrieved. They can only grit their teeth and move on. After all, it is not easy for them to let their children reach this point. When their children graduate from the world's top universities, they will automatically become the upper class in the Western world. As for the latter, their brains may not be very bright. They always feel that the moon is rounder in foreign countries, the air is fresher and freer, and they always have a sore waist and knees. Well, in addition to them, there are quite a few Augustus Kendo fans who are still very tough on the internet, saying that there must be an inside story in this match, and that the Sword Saint must have been attacked secretly. Some even said that it was unfair, saying that Wu Jiangtao's spear was so long, and the Sword Saint's sword was so short and so slender, so this was an unfair competition, and so on. There seems to be some weirdness mixed in. Of course, such remarks are just for the sake of making people laugh. In a battle of weapons, an inch longer is an inch stronger, an inch shorter is an inch more dangerous. Moreover, Sword St. Philip has encountered opponents with long weapons before, and he had always defeated them with one sword. After this match, Wu Jiangtao's journey into the round-robin tournament of the world's #1 martial arts tournament suddenly entered the fast lane. The round-robin format is very special. The contestants in the round-robin can be roughly divided into challengers and challenged. After defeating Philip Augustus, Wu Jiangtao immediately replaced his points and ranking in the World Martial Arts Strength Individual Ranking List. Therefore, his status in the round-robin tournament was suddenly transformed from challenger to challenged. Well, for the sake of fairness, the challengers and challenged in the round-robin tournament are not defined based on their performance in the previous World Martial Arts Tournament, but rather on their individual rankings in the standings, since they participated in major international competitions. Among the 40 masters in the round-robin tournament, the 20 who are ranked high in the Global Martial Arts Individual Points list will automatically become challenged in the tournament. If the challenger is defeated, his ranking and points will be replaced by the opponent, and his points and position will not be postponed, but exchanged with the challenger's points and ranking. If he wants to return to this position, he can only fight back again. This kind of competition system is also called the fairest, and most just won by the global martial arts community. However, it is just a facade. Talented martial artists who have participated in international competitions in the martial arts competition circle know that it is extremely difficult to get into the top 100 of the global martial arts individual points list. It's not that the masters ranked in the top 100 are infinitely stronger than them, but that the young martial artists who came later were very competitive. In major international martial arts competitions, young talents who come later will be challenged by equally talented martial artists before they have time to charge forward. As a result, most of these young talents, except for those who are rare in a century and can outnumber their peers, will fall into such a vicious cycle. However, this vicious cycle was shattered by the 4 young masters from China who had made it into the cycle of the world's #1 martial arts tournament. Well, in the first round, in addition to Wu Jiangtao's decisive victory over Sword St. Philip, Yuan Huang, Master Kongming, and Dongfeng, you also defeated their long-established opponents in an extremely powerful manner, replacing their opponents' points and rankings in the global martial arts ranking. Their 3 opponents were extremely unlucky. Don't forget, since this was the first time that Yuan Huang and the others participated in an international martial arts competition, they had 0 points in the standings and didn't even have a ranking. In other words, all the personal global martial arts points and rankings that they had painstakingly accumulated through more than 10 or 20 years of international martial arts competitions were reset to 0 in one day, and they had to start from scratch. This is really bad luck. Chapter 344, Winning Streak. There was no other way. In the world's top martial arts competition, this was the first time they had encountered such freaks as Wu Jiangtao and the other 4. They were defeated so quickly that they couldn't even beat them. It's not like that. All of a sudden, my scores and rankings in the global martial arts individual rankings for the past few years or even more than 10 years have been reset to 0. Is there still justice in the world? Is there still law? Except for Philip Augustus, who was killed directly, the other 3 senior masters who were defeated by Yuan Huang, Master Kongaming and Dongfeng Yu, respectively, were really in tears. Although the three brothers were better off than Philip Augustus and did not lose their lives, they did not intend to participate in the T0 competition, and they would not lose their reputation. The key now is that this defeat is a fatal blow to their prestige in the global martial arts world. My reputation has plummeted, and I will definitely not be able to make money. Maybe some people who don't know much about the martial arts world will say, isn't their martial arts strength still there, even if they can get out? Sorry, even if they can't beat the evil juniors like Wu Jiantao, can't they get back to a similar position? However, veteran martial arts fans all know that in this top-level competition, there is a 99% chance that these three predecessors will not be able to make it back into the top 100 of the global martial arts individual points list. Don't forget that the reason why the younger generation today cannot quickly replace their predecessors is because they are all stuck in the lower rankings, stepping on each other. Even if one or two of them occasionally break through the siege and enter the top 100, they must be exhausted physically and mentally, or even injured. In the martial arts world, just like in football and basketball, martial artists are also athletes. As athletes, they have limits in their physical condition and health. It is natural that it is easy for them to fall back in such a state when facing their predecessors who are well rested and waiting for the opportunity to tire themselves out. Therefore, in fact, the top 100 masters in the global martial arts world's individual points list are at most stronger or have more experience in competitions and fighting than the young successors who are catching up behind them, but there is no qualitative difference. In recent years, the ranking points on this list have rarely experienced such outrageous fluctuations as this one. All of a sudden, Wu Jiantao and the other three aroused great vigilance in the Western martial arts fighting world. Many renowned masters, such as King Kong, the #1 master in the United States, were the first to say in front of the media that they had never underestimated these four rising stars from the Chinese martial arts world, and that when they met them in the next competition, they would go all out and leave no chance for retreat. Not only him, but other martial arts masters who have great influence around the world, especially those ranked in the top 10 of the global martial arts individual points list, have also spoken out. Among them, those who had previously mocked the Chinese martial arts world for fraud were honest and admitted that they had made a mistake, and at the same time, they put all the blame for their mistake on the fake news. Of course, the Western media collectively lost their memory this time, as if they had forgotten what they had said before. They immediately changed their stance and began praising the excellence of the four Chinese latecomers, saying that they have a promising future and will surely carve out a niche for Chinese martial arts in the world martial arts community in the near future. All of these were meaningless nonsense. Next, the round-robin competition officially began. As the challenged, Wu Jiantao had the home advantage. He did not need to fly around the world and could just go back to F City, M Province. Next, the challengers in the round-robin competition would come one after another to challenge him. Of course, if he loses the game, he will immediately become a challenger and have to fly around the world to challenge others according to the number of games. When he returned home, Wu Jiantao did not receive the scolding he had expected, but was greeted by a hug from Chen Jun. "I'm sorry for making you worry." Chen Jun didn't say anything in response to his apology, but just hugged her husband tightly and refused to let go for a long time. After returning to his home in City F, Wu Jiantao's life returned to the regular and ordinary days of the past. From the perspective of others, he is participating in the round-robin tournament of the world's most watched martial arts tournament. He will face the challenge of world-class masters every few days. His life must be very unusual, and he must be very excited and passionate. Chen Jun even thought that in the days ahead, she would have to spend more time taking care of the two little ones, taking on more housework, cooking, etc., so that her husband would have more time to prepare for the competition. However, Wu Jiantao did not do so. His life at home was almost the same as before the competition, except that he went to the city gymnasium every few days to participate in the round-robin competition of the world's #1 martial arts conference. He cooked, took care of Daodu and Miao, and did various housework every day. He even reduced his morning practice. Chen Jun was a little confused about this, and was very worried that this would cause his condition to decline and lead to him losing the game. It would have been fine if he did this before, but now he was participating in the world's #1 martial arts tournament, the world's recognized #1 martial arts competition. Unfortunately, Chen Jun's advice could not change her husband. Wu Jiantao further explained to her that this was actually more of a spiritual practice rather than a physical exercise. In this way, their small family of 4 lived a dull life, and time slipped away little by little. 1 win, 2 wins in a row, 3 wins in a row. 6 consecutive wins. As the round-robin tournament progressed, Wu Jiangtao, Yuan Huang, Master Kongming and Dongfeng Yu made rapid progress in the competition arena and even achieved an impressive record of 6 consecutive victories. Among the 40 warriors in the round-robin tournament of the world's #1 martial arts competition, the only ones who maintained an undefeated record in 6 rounds of competition were Hope King Garcia, the top master of the United States, Phelpsius of the ascetic sect of Europa Grusa, and Caesar, the royal paladin of the Holy Land of Europe. 47 people maintained their undefeated record, and China's 4 new young masters make up 4/7 of them. All of a sudden, the world's martial arts community began to pay attention to this ancient Oriental country and to the Chinese kung fu that once became popular in Western countries because of Li Feilong. Well, compared to using national arts to describe Chinese martial arts, the Western world prefers to define it as kung fu. Along with this, martial arts fans and young people with a passion for martial arts from all over the world are pouring into this ancient country like a tide. At the same time, the short video of Wu Jiangtao demonstrating his superpower of turning gas into arrows in a previous Beijing TV interview program has once again become popular around the world, sparking widespread heated discussion. What is different from before is that no one is talking about fraud anymore, but rather how did he do it. Chapter 345 Worry. As the world's #1 martial arts tournament round robin was in full swing, Western martial arts media and major mainstream media were paying more and more attention to and discussing Wu Jiangtao and the other 4. They have collectively lost their memory about the fraud label that they had put on Wu Jiangtao before. Now, these internationally renowned martial arts magazines and mainstream media are not only studying and discussing how Wu Jiangtao managed to transform qi into arrows, but they are also very accurately finding topics to talk about Yuan Huang, Master Kongming and Dongfeng Yu, and are promoting all kinds of hype. It is full of tricks, so I will not go into detail. Foreign martial arts fans are no longer surprised by this. After all, this is a routine operation of the media, and they don't go back to protest or anything. Anyway, these fake news don't affect their lives. They can say that this is the freedom of these fake news. They have no right to control it, and they are not qualified to control it. Of course, even if it affects themselves, they have no ability to control it. This is the characteristic of media freedom in the international and even Western world. There is no such thing as public order and moral constraints. Just like now, the domestic media used to cater to the news and comments about Wu Jiangtao. Now look at them. They want to slap themselves in the face. The ridicule from those martial arts fans on the internet and the various self-media's revelations and criticisms of their past actions are actually not a big deal. The most important thing is that as the spontaneous wave of criticism on the internet gradually forms a trend, these media outlets are really feeling uneasy and like a thorn in their back. As expected, Zhongshan Renren soon spoke out, criticizing their behavior, saying that it was unacceptable and that they needed to respect objective facts and have a basis in facts, rather than just blindly following others, or even doing whatever they wanted or engaging in all kinds of hype. Almost at the same time, the relevant departments also interviewed these media, and soon, a group of people got into trouble. This day was the day when Wu Jiangtao went to City F to accept the challenge of a martial arts master from the West. At 0903 in Yunlu Garden, Wu Ma, Chen Jun, Li Ziaoshan, and Yu Wenwang were all sitting in the living room at home, watching the competition on the 80-inch LCD TV screen in front of them. The warriors from both sides had already started to appear. Since everyone is here today, Chen Jun also briefly described Wu Jiangtao's practice at home over the past few months and said with some concern, "Mom Dawang, do you think Jiangtao is like this? Is it okay? I'm worried that if he relaxes like this, his performance in the game will decline." After hearing how his cousin had been spending his days, Yuan Huang didn't know what to say for a moment and was shocked. Facing the life during the world's #1 martial arts tournament, if he lived like this, it would definitely affect his condition. How can this be possible? Facing such a major competition, one really can't be too tense all the time, as this will result in insufficient rest for the body and mind, and will make one more nervous when on the field, which will greatly affect the state. But at the same time, one can't relax too much either, as too much relaxation will inevitably lead to a decline in the level of performance on the field, affecting the competitive momentum, willpower and mental concentration, etc. Therefore, he frowned deeply and turned to look at his aunt, but saw that Wu Ma pondered for a while and said, "Don't worry, let's watch his game first, and then we will know." Today, Wu Jiangtao's opponent is a challenger from South America. Although he is a challenger, he is a senior and a well-known master in the world of martial arts. He ranks 19th in the global martial arts individual points list. He is good at leg techniques and ground techniques. His ability in close combat is so strong that even the United States top master King Kong has to be careful when facing him. As soon as the match started, everyone in the living room of 903 was sweating. They saw that this senior faced Wu Jiangtao's heavy punch, but he actually caught it and instantly entangled with the opponent, grabbing the opponent's wrist and arm in the opposite direction, and using the force to knock Wu Jiangtao over, and then entered into the ground fight that he was best at. Just when the commentator on the scene and martial arts fans around the world in front of the TV thought that Wu Jiangtao had finally run into trouble and was about to lose the game, they saw that his body moved downward. Although the amplitude was not large, it gave everyone who saw it a feeling of suddenly sinking. The core of Wu family's Xinyiquan is the sinking force. At this moment, Wu Jiangtao's feet seemed to have taken root, and his whole body turned into an ancient tree, unmoved at all. His opponent, who was originally very confident that he could overthrow this young junior, also stopped abruptly in mid-air. You know, the power that just exploded plus the inertia of the whole person swinging in mid-air. The total force is probably close to 2 tons. But Wu Jiangtao's downward force, combined with the Earth's gravity. That's right, this is the wonderful thing about the power of Chinese martial arts. The use of power can be integrated into the space between heaven and earth to the maximum extent. Just like at this moment, it seems that the senior's whole body force in midair is resisting the burst of power from Wu Jiangtao's body. But in fact, after the transformation of Wu Jiangtao's sinking force, almost 70% of the force he resists is transformed into gravity. Can human power fight against gravity? Of course not. Therefore, this senior from the Western martial arts fighting world was forced to interrupt his move immediately after it exploded and had not yet failed. The next moment, the senior's face, captured by the camera lens, kept changing colors with astonishment, confusion, fear. Appearing one after another, it was extremely complicated. And Wu Jiangtao did not give him any chance. He held the opponent's right arm with one hand but did not use any killing move. Instead, a simple and clean shock force instantly burst out from his waist, passing through his arm, wrist, and palm, instantly spreading to the opponent's whole body. Click, 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 click. A series of crackling sounds of bones came from the challenger's body, and then he lost all his strength and could no longer hold on to Wu Jiangtao's right arm. He fell down limply with a look of despair on his face. The referee not far away came over immediately and leaned over to check the challenger's physical condition. He was very surprised. He had no injuries inside or outside his body, and he looked very energetic, but all the major joints in his body were dislocated. It would be good if it was just a dislocation. Although he can't move now, it is only a minor injury to his muscles and bones. He will be fine after some rest. The other side. In Yunlu Garden 903, several people celebrated happily. Chen Jun looked at her mother-in-law nervously. How is it? Mom, what is Jiang Tao's current condition? Very strong. Before Wu Ma could say anything, Yuan Huang spoke first. Chapter 346, Slip of the Tongue Tilde. For a moment, everyone turned to look at Yuan Huang, only to see that his brows were solemn and his eyes were flashing with interest in fighting. Although I haven't fought with Xiao Tao for a while, he was very strong in the competition just now. I feel that his strength has not declined and he has not slackened. I am looking forward to meeting him in the next competition. Is it true that his condition hasn't declined? Chen Jun was a little surprised. Xiao Huang is not wrong. Wu Ma was also puzzled. If you hadn't just said, Xiaojun, that he was like this during the competition, even I would have found it hard to imagine how this brat could maintain his best fighting condition. Judging from her son's reaction speed and burst of strength in the ring just now, and most importantly, the way he handled the opponent's unexpected attack was really swift and appropriate, especially the burst of concussion force. Although she didn't go to the scene, just by looking at the picture, Wu Ma could tell that her son's concussion force was just right, and it only hurt the opponent's limb joints, but not the internal organs. It is not difficult to explode, but it is difficult to control the strength and make the opponent lose without getting hurt. This shows that Wu Jiangtao's physical and mental martial arts competitive state is absolutely at its peak at this time. For a moment, Wu Ma was very pleased. Thinking back on the past few years, her son got married and had children, as well as his transformation in martial arts, she always had a feeling of unreality. But the martial arts skills her son had just demonstrated on the ring were so real and so powerful that they dispelled the sense of unreality in her heart. Sometimes when she, as a mother, goes to sleep at night, she will inexplicably dream about her son when he was a child and when he grew up and went to college, and how he was neither good at literature nor martial arts. His academic performance was mediocre, his talent in martial arts was mediocre, he found a girlfriend but broke up with her. The dream even continued into the future. After graduation, the son couldn't find a good job and only found a decent job with the secret help of his family. Later, the son in the dream felt a lot of pressure when facing his senior brothers and sisters in the martial arts school, and even his mother and father at home. In the dream, as time passed, the son became less and less willing to go home. Later, he only went home once during the holidays. Later, he was introduced to an ordinary girlfriend and they had a decent wedding, but it was not held in his hometown. After waking up from this dream, Wu Ma was still in shock. She felt that this dream was so real and so frightening. What? Xiaojun, Mom, I'm back. Pushing open the door of 903, Wu Jiantao returned to his warm little home again. He looked up and suddenly had a look of surprise on his face. Cousin, Xiaoshan, why are you here? What? We can't come to your house. No, I just feel a little weird. Xiao Tao, come here, we have something to ask you. Oh. Wu Jiantao was stunned for a moment, and then he realized that everyone seemed to be looking at him in a strange way. He went to the living room and sat on the sofa, looking at his wife, mother, and everyone else. What's wrong? I heard from Xiaojun that you haven't been preparing well for the competition during this period. Wu's mother told Chen Jun about Wu Jiantao's daily life at home during the competition and said bluntly, although you played well in today's competition and are in very good shape, if you keep slacking off, you don't know which game you're on the spot condition will suddenly deteriorate. That's right, Xiao Tao. Yuan Huang beside him also frowned. I can also see that you were in very good shape today and even improved a lot compared to a few months ago, but I don't think this is a reason for you to relax. The most important thing in the Xinyaquan we practice is the mind. If the mind is always in this relaxed state, it will definitely not work. Forehead. It turns out that this is what everyone is worried about. But faced with their doubts, Wu Jiantao didn't know where to start explaining. After a pause, he explained, actually, this is to maintain my peak state in martial arts competition, because the source of the mindfulness of the mind boxing that I practice is her. When he said this, Wu Jiantao turned his head to look at his wife, who was stunned on the spot. Suddenly, he thought of something and quickly looked at his mother. What I mean is that my boxing mindfulness realm is for my family. Okay, stop explaining. Yu Wenwang and Li Xiaoshan couldn't help but turn their heads to glance at Wu Ma and subconsciously reached out to cover their faces. Well, at this moment, Wu Ma had no expression on her face. You, what are you talking about? Chen Jun kicked her husband angrily, then quickly stood up and sat next to her mother-in-law, holding her hand. Mom, don't be angry. Don't listen to his excuses, he's just being lazy. She said a few anxious words and rolled her eyes at her husband in reproach. Although she felt extremely sweet at the moment, she still had to maintain her attitude. Besides, the car accident was not a big deal, but it was not a small one either. If Wu Ma took it to heart, then any close relationship she had established with her mother-in-law would definitely be broken, and there would definitely be problems in their future relationship. My husband was always very reliable before, and he could serve as a good bridge of communication between me and my mother-in-law. Why did he do such a stab to me today? Isn't this intentional to cause trouble for the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law? Wu Jiantao was also numb at this moment. He had just answered sincerely. Indeed, his current martial arts achievements were inseparable from Chen Jun if this girl had not come to his side and given birth to a pair of jade-carved twins, giving him the most essential touch of life. He would never have been able to obtain this pure and powerful power of mind, and thus feed back to his own martial arts realm. If it weren't for Chen Jun and the two babies, even though he has the system, he would only be at the whole strength level at best. It would be impossible for his martial arts to progress so rapidly in just a few years. Mom, eyes, you know I didn't mean that. For a moment, this guy didn't know what to say. And Wu Ma continued to remain expressionless. Wu Jiantao explained a few words incoherently. Although his words were a bit messy, the general meaning was that what he said just now was just a pure martial arts issue. It didn't mean that your son didn't have you in his heart. Humph. Wu Ma wasn't really angry. As the saying goes, no one knows a son better than his parents. It is impossible for her to abort her son because of such a sentence, even though the mother could not help but feel a little sour at this time. Chapter 347. Something happening. Yes, you still have me as your mother in your heart, but I'm definitely not the first one. Mother Wu rolled her eyes at her son and snorted deliberately. No, Mom, you really misunderstood. I really didn't mean that just now. At this moment, Wu Jiantao really wished he had mouths all over his body so he could explain what he meant clearly. On the contrary, Chen Jun and Li Xiaoshan both breathed a sigh of relief. Well, the mother-in-law aunt was just teasing her own son. Look how anxious she made her own son. He couldn't even speak. All right, stop explaining. Go cook. I'm annoyed just seeing you now. Mother Wu glanced at her son. Wu Jiantao understood immediately and stood up quickly. I understand, I know. I will make your favorite vinegar fish right away. Etc. She called her son, looked at him seriously, and said, I want to eat something special today. You say, Wu Jiantao said respectfully. I want to eat vinegar fish that's neither sweet nor sour. Wu Jiantao looked at his mother seriously. Mom, I can't play with you like this. Just tell me to make a vinegar fish that's not sweet, sour, or fishy. Hey Tilda, this is good. Wu Ma clapped her hands. I think your idea is good. This vinegar fish should taste very good. Like how also? Seeing how aggrieved Wu Jiantao was, Chen Jun and Li Ziaoshan beside him couldn't help but laughed out loud. After a sumptuous dinner, Wu Jiantao and his family sat together on the balcony, enjoying the rare cool breeze in the evening and chatting. Tea is here, Tilda. Wu Jiantao came out from the kitchen, holding a plate with some prepared fruit tea on it. I came to the balcony and put down the fruit tea tray, only to see everyone was having a video call with their dad. The two little ones on the balcony, who had grown up a lot, called Grandpa in a baby voice twice under the instructions of their mom and grandma. Hey, Tilda. Dad Wu on the other end of the phone suddenly laughed happily. Seeing his son coming, he immediately asked about his son's recent competitions and martial arts training. Xiao, I watched your match today. Not bad. You handled it very well, but there is one thing I think you can do better. I can see that you are in very good shape. Are you becoming more and more satisfied? Wu Dad patiently shared some of his thoughts and experiences after watching Wu Jiantao's competition today. Everyone at the scene couldn't help but nod their heads. He was indeed a quasi-grandmaster who could enter Dan Jin at any time. After a few words, he pointed out the core points of Wu Jiantao's current practice and competition. Well, I'm not sure. Wu Jiantao was also a little uncertain. After all, he was now a mountain dweller. As the saying goes, because he was in the mountains, he could not clearly define his own realm in Xinyiquan. Well, maintain your current state of mind. Don't be impatient, and don't ask for it too deliberately. It's best to let nature take its course. In addition to his own son, Wu Dad naturally also talked about his recent observations of Yuan Huang, asked about his current situation in martial arts training and competitions, and gave him golden advice. As everyone was talking, Li Ziaoshan suddenly asked these warriors a very strange question. I'm just curious, how powerful are martial arts masters? Why don't such masters participate in the competition? If you, uncle, also participate in this world's #1 martial arts competition, then wouldn't the title of the world's #1 be within your grasp? Ha. The Wu father on the phone screen suddenly laughed. How strong is the martial arts master? I can't tell you clearly, I can only say, stronger than me. As for why martial artists of our level did not participate in the competition, there are many reasons, but this time I have something to tell you. When he said this, there was a strange look on Wu's father's face. After the world's #1 martial arts tournament, round-robin tournament, is over, there may be some new changes. What? Everyone is a little confused, the new changes. As Wu Ba continued to tell the story, everyone couldn't help but look at each other in surprise. It turns out that the World Martial Arts Association, which leads this world's top event, has proposed to update the competition system of the world's #1 martial arts tournament and add an invitation and challenge session named Unparalleled after the round-robin competition. Simply put, a warrior who has won the title of the best in the world can challenge the strong men who hold the same title in previous sessions in this session, as well as accept possible challengers from seniors. Well, what the World Martial Arts Association means is that the current age limit for the #1 martial arts tournament in the world is under 40, which is a pity. In this regard, the age limit should be removed. After all, how can the real #1 in the world have an age limit? What's more, in the worldwide martial arts world, whether it is the Eastern martial arts world or the Western fighting world, most martial arts masters in their 50s and 60s can maintain a very peak state. Maybe their physical strength and power are not as good as those of the younger generations in their prime, but with their martial arts realm, they can easily crush the younger generations. What's more, the World Martial Arts Association, which is the leader of the Western martial arts fighting world, suddenly proposed to add this event. This is because a biological genetic drug in the United States that is used to repair the genes of warriors has finally achieved a qualitative breakthrough. Over the past 100 years, the medical Chaebol Group headed by the United States has never stopped its biotechnology research on warriors' bodies and genes, although the research has always been quite slow, almost making the Chaebols and aristocratic families in the Western world lose confidence. But this time, it's completely different. So, Dad, did you receive an invitation to compete in this event?
Wu Jiantao was speechless. Father Wu looked at the two speechless young men with a half smile. One is his most proud disciple, and the other is his own son. Both of them are extremely talented and have unlimited future. In other words, they will most likely compete against each other in the ring in the future. Forehead. Wu Jiantao was immediately amused and confused. No, I don't really understand what the World Martial Arts Association is trying to do. They already made trouble for me more than 20 years ago. This time, are they trying to make trouble for me again? As the son of a Quasar Grandmaster, he naturally knew some of the past events in the Chinese martial arts world and the World Martial Arts Association. That's right. Yuan Huang also thought of it immediately, but frowned. Although the Western martial arts world never gets up early without benefits, they never do anything without confidence. They must have something to rely on, right? Chapter 348, Two-Finger Play. I can probably guess a little, but I haven't confirmed it yet. Father Wu nodded and said lightly. Yu Wenhuang, who had worked in the security department for many years, immediately realized that his master must know something, but he just couldn't say it in front of everyone. In recent years, a man code-named Professor has appeared in the Western Brigade Circle. He has been elusive and has carried out many secret actions and plans with some dark brigades. Although Yuan Huang has never fought with this professor, he has been paying attention to him. At this moment, in a mysterious underground research institute in Europe, several staff members in white coats were busy removing the wires from the various instruments on the person lying on the bed. After doing this, a thin, middle-aged man with a strange appearance smiled and said, "Mr. Wilson, you can get up." The person lying on the bed opened his eyes and looked at him immediately. "Professor, what are my physical indicators?" "Very good. What we can be sure of now is that your body's cell vitality and metabolic indicators have now recovered to the state of a 40-year-old young man. Perhaps you can get up and feel it yourself." Sando. The gray-haired man on the bed didn't say anything more after hearing this and stood up from the bed. As he stood up, the staff of the institute around him couldn't help but take a few steps back, feeling very pressured. Well, even though this man looks to be in his 60s or 70s, he is still majestic and powerful. When he stands up, he is more than 2 meters tall and has an amazing physique. However, due to his old age and the hidden injuries he suffered when he was young, his muscles are not as amazing as those of young people. Wilson Joseph, who had just awakened from hibernation, felt more clearly at this moment the long-lost feeling of lightness and ease that filled his entire body. Wood swish, swish, swish. As his hands and feet waved, a heart-pounding sound of breaking through the air spread out, and even several staff members standing nearby could clearly feel the wind hitting their faces. Good, so scary. They stepped back one after another, looking in horror at the man who had just arrived and was just an old man with limited mobility. Wilson howled to the sky. As his body became more active, his chi and blood began to activate further, and his muscles began to swell again. He could clearly feel that his body, which had been decayed and dilapidated for more than 20 years, seemed to be reborn. Very good, very good. Boy, my investment in you over the years is worth it. These are what I should do. The professor said very respectfully, "This is the most perfect first-generation product that our institute can produce now. In my estimation, the second-generation product will even allow masters like you to restore their physical condition to that of a 20-year-old. What about lifespan?" Wilson stood there with great satisfaction. Several servants came over and helped him change into a very elegant and decent set of clothes. "Since my body can be restored to such a young age, does it mean that my lifespan has been extended?" The professor said very seriously, "I'm sorry, sir. We don't have any solid experimental data in this regard. We can only roughly infer that your lifespan has been extended by about 30 to 50 years. Wilson raised his eyebrows slightly and said calmly, "I don't want an estimate. When can you give me an accurate result?" The professor thought about it seriously. "Based on the body data model we built for you, I can calculate the result in 3 months at most." Good. Wilson smiled and said, "By the way, my old friends completed the gene repair earlier than me, right? Have they left?" "Yes, they left the day before yesterday," the professor said very respectfully. "Okay, then you guys should take a rest during this time. You don't have to be too tired." "Yes, thank you for your concern, sir." 9:03 at Yunlu Garden. The evening party has ended, and before I knew it, it was already dark. Daodu and Mayomio had been very active all day. When Wu Jiantao put them to bed at around 9 o'clock, he rubbed the foreheads of the two little guys very gently, and they soon fell into a deep sleep.
Ha tilde tilde. The couple took a bath and lay down on the bed in a time-saving manner. Don't move, let me line on. Chen Jun pulled her husband's arm with a reproachful look, rested her head on it, and browsed her mobile phone. Wu Jiantao withdrew his hand in disappointment and could only take out his own mobile phone and start browsing. Husband tilde. Wu Jiantao lowered his head and sniffed the fresh and elegant fragrance of his wife's hair. What's wrong? Speak. Can't you just let me lie down quietly for a while? Chen Jun couldn't help but turn his head slightly and rolled his eyes at him. Then I didn't bother you. Someone looks innocent. She didn't waste any more time, just reached down and used the two-finger zen. It should be noted that this time it is not twisting, but bum. God. Wu Jiantao let out a strange cry and couldn't help but curl himself up into a cooked red shrimp. Snort. In the past, Chen Jun might have immediately turned over and checked with her husband to see if he was hurt or anything, but now she was not moved at all. She just leaned against the head of the bed with a slightly red face and continued to browse her phone with a sullen look. You've murdered your husband. Wu Jiantao took a deep breath and checked himself. Everything was fine. Fortunately, he had a strong physique and was able to withstand blows, so he was not hurt. Well, although the Wu family's Xinyiquan is not as specialized as the Iron Crotch Kung Fu, one of the 72 Shaolin unique skills, the training process from the sinking power of the mind to the transformation of the power into Dan Jin is more or less strengthened. Who told you to be careful about letting your son and daughter play whack-a-mole in the bedroom while I'm taking a nap here? What? As expected, a woman's heart is the most vicious. Wu Jiantao's mouth twitched slightly. Why bother? Why bother? Chen Jun glanced at him, only to see him holding a cell phone in front of him. Look at this shirt. There's a charging port pattern on the back. What? Just one look made her feel so ashamed. Get lost. No, compared to the see-through one that Li Ziaoshan gave you before, don't you think this one is very unique and creative? No way. Chen Jun's face was burning. Well, this guy had urged her to wear the one that Li Ziaoshan bought several times, but she couldn't get away with it. Chapter 349, A Crucial Battle. After a while, Chen Jun's phone ran out of battery. Only. She was lying on her side, and it was a little inconvenient to get up, so Wu Jiantao helped her get it. He took the Type-C plug of the charger from the bedside table and plugged it into the charging port of the phone with a beep sound. Start charging. Well, charging. What? The organizing committee of the world's #1 martial arts tournament is planning to add the unparalleled competition segment, but it has not been made public. It has only been circulated within a very small circle of high-level martial arts figures. At their level, it is naturally impossible for them to casually reveal this matter to the media. However, in the following period, domestic and foreign sports media, especially authoritative journals and newspapers in the martial arts world, have reported on some respected senior masters in the Western martial arts world. In the news comments, some martial arts media people also expressed confusion, wondering why these senior masters, who retired from the martial arts world more than 10 or 20 years ago, suddenly became active and popular. However, the anger of these old guys is a bit eye-catching. Just like a few days ago, King Kong, Hope King Garcia, who is now known as the top master in the United States, broke out a piece of news that was enough to shatter the three views of the Chinese people. His father, Wilson Ba Garcia, revealed in a recent interview that he had a second child with his stepdaughter, who is 41 years younger than him. The second child is a daughter and is King Kong's real half-sister. This matter is not complicated. King Kong's father and King Kong's stepsister had a younger sister together. A daughter's daughter is still a daughter, and a sister's daughter is still a sister. There is nothing wrong with that. You call me mom, I call you brother. This kind of thing would destroy any normal person's worldview in China, and many martial arts fans complained about it on the internet. However, the strange thing is that this explosive point in China, which is enough to cause a sensation of, is it the corruption of human relations or the decline of morality, did not cause any waves. The most important thing is that this kind of thing happened not only to King Kong's father, but also to several other Western martial arts predecessors who have suddenly become active recently, and most of them have similar side news. In China, the yellow-skinned people who have been having a lot of fun in recent years have always ignored this news that has destroyed their worldview. They will only flock to the country when there is any news hotspot that involves boxing and being accused of fraud. That's right, now China has a very clear view of these people. They kneel down and pretend to be deaf and dumb and submissive to the outside world, but they make reasonable arguments and attack hard with double standards internally. Many martial arts fans on the internet rush to the Weibo of some big Vs, either commenting or sending private messages, asking them to comment on what this highly respected martial arts predecessor in the United States did. Among them, a big V with more than 3 million fans became angry and posted a message saying that this is a very common traditional custom in American society, and it is nothing new to them. We cannot measure others by the standards of public order, morality, and humanity of our China. This is fucking unfair. The most speechless thing is that in the comments under this guy, Weibo post, there were actually a lot of people with smooth brain grooves who immediately echoed it, saying that our great China should adhere to the spirit of harmony but different, seek common ground while reserving differences, and so on. This made many martial arts fans with normal outlooks feel very disgusted. For a time, it attracted a huge number of domestic netizens, who directly scolded this Weibo post and this big V into the hot search list. On the internet, netizens' comments, without using any curse words, are full of joy. Lao Hu next door, the music of the Garcia family rocking car. What is the name of Dad's dad? Dad's dad is called Grandpa. What is the name of Dad's mom? Dad's mom is called Aunt. What is the name of Dad's sister? Dad's sister is called Grandma. Xiao Tan from the film Circle. You see, it's not that the screenwriter of Mad Max 4 in the United States has a rich imagination, but that realistic themes are everywhere, and art comes from life. Nangong Ergu, King Kong's father, only had 7 children, but King Kong is not even halfway through his life and has already had 9. He is even better than his father, and he is also having unclear affairs with his adopted daughters. Wow, ha ha ha, King Kong said righteously. I am solving the current population crisis that is prevalent throughout the world. The plummeting birth rate is the most serious challenge that human civilization has ever encountered. Dog head, dog head, dog head. Also because of these Western martial arts predecessors, who suddenly became popular, China's domestic online searches have been very lively for some time. However, the #1 martial arts tournament in the world was not affected much by this and continued to proceed in an orderly and stable manner. The 4 Chinese masters, who had always maintained an undefeated streak, finally began to lose in the 13th round of competition. Well, the first loser was not Wu Jiantao as expected by the outside world, but Dongfeng Yu, who was the most popular among the female martial arts fans among the 4. All of a sudden, Dongfeng Yu's female fans went online and left comments to comfort him under Dongfeng Yu's certified Weibo account. However, this incident did not attract much attention, because, in the following 14th round of competition, Master Kongming and the United States top master King Kong met. For both of them who have won 13 consecutive games, the outcome of this match will definitely be the most crucial match for their ranking in the round-robin tournament, no doubt about it. For a time, martial artists and martial arts fans in China, and even around the world, all focused on this competition. On the morning of the competition, Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun sat in front of the TV very solemnly. Husband, do you think Master Kongming can defeat King Kong? On the screen, the 2 competing parties began to enter the arena. On the stage, King Kong, who was standing face to face with Master Kongming, was nearly 2.3 meters tall and so sturdy that he was more than twice as big as his opponent. Chen Jun couldn't help but feel a little frightened. It's hard to say, Wu Jiantao said lightly. As far as he knew, King Kong, the #1 martial arts master in the United States, had the best physical fitness among all the martial arts masters in the world, with recorded data in modern times, no doubt about it. This guy is recognized as the top of human physical fitness and explosive power. According to public data from the United States, the genetic drugs and conditioning he buys every year for body maintenance costs tens of millions of US dollars. In his most recent match, the strength he unleashed hit a new historical high, which was more than 1 level higher than the strongest data recorded by China's star masters so far. If we only talk about this aspect, Master Kongming can definitely not be a match for King Kong. Chapter 350, Fierce Battle. A martial arts competition is not arm wrestling. It doesn't depend on who has the best statistics or is stronger. The winner also depends on on-the-spot performance and a comprehensive test of other aspects of the body. Compared to the complete Chinese martial arts system and clear levels of realm, the Western martial arts fighting world does not have a unified standard in this regard, but this does not prevent the Chinese martial arts world from defining the realm level of warriors like King Kong based on the level of Chinese martial arts. Based on the strength shown in this guy's previous competition videos and the relevant martial arts data he published in the International Martial Arts Association journal, King Kong's martial arts strength is between China's domestic star masters and those who have reached the level of mastery. This is a very general definition, but after this competition, the entire Chinese martial arts community will will have a very clear understanding of the strength of this master, who holds the title of #1 in the world. Soon, the game begins. Fight start. As the Chinese and English commentary on the field landed, the two figures on the field moved instantly. Bang! King Kong suddenly kicked his feet downward, and his mountain-like body slightly bent down, and one hand reached down to grab Kong Ming. And this big monk did not shy away from the responsibility. He did not retreat but tensed his body. At this moment, the strength in his body surged out like a volcanic eruption and a tsunami, flowing out from his waist, up over his arms, and into his palms through his two arms. In the camera's capture, some people with keen observation immediately noticed that the palms of this Master Kongaming had grown larger. Bang! A peak collision without any whistle. At this moment, Wu Jiantao narrowed his eyes slightly, and a fierce light flashed in his eyes, but he only saw on the TV screen that Master Kongaming was hit by the opponent's knife. He couldn't help but lower half a head, unable to withstand the opponent's terrible force, and the whole person staggered backwards involuntarily. He felt uncomfortable, and King Kong also swayed and took 2 or 3 steps back. Halohasa, okay. Even though his chest felt a little stuffy, this guy with an amazing physique shouted loudly, and instinctively released the blocked feeling in his chest by yelling and getting angry. At the same time, he came in front of Master Kongaming again and suddenly raised his foot and swept it across. Boom! The close combat skills of the Grusa Fighting School are based on plain and simple moves. During the development and changes in the past 100 years, it has learned and integrated the characteristics of Eastern martial arts. In particular, King Kong is worthy of being the peerless genius of the Grusa Fighting School. He has also absorbed some of the core power of the Yingguo Infinite Flow and Hangguo Taekwondo. The explosions of his hand and foot moves already have some of the essence of the explosive power of Chinese martial arts. At this moment, no matter it was the seniors from the Chinese Martial Arts Association who were watching the game on site, or Wu Jiantao in front of the TV, or Wu's mom and dad who were also watching the game in the martial arts gym in his hometown in Q City. They all saw this very clearly. This kind of physique, this kind of strength, and the ability to burst out powerful energy. Old Master Wu nodded with interest. He is a natural martial arts genius. If he is given another 10 years, he will surely become a master again. The others did not have the same calm attitude as the old man. They were all watching the game nervously and did not hear what the old man said. On the TV screen, King Kong and Master Kong Ming burst out with all their strength right from the start, and the duel between the two entered a thrilling peak showdown from the very beginning. Bang, bang, bangs. King Kong's hands and feet, which were obviously much longer than Master Kongaming's, left a trail of afterimages and smashed towards Master Kongaming fiercely and swiftly. The two sides fought back and forth, and the collision of fists and feet produced a heart-pounding sound. The stalemate lasted for just 3 breaths. Kongaming, who was much smaller in stature and whose limbs were longer, suffered a disadvantage in the collision and began to retreat step by step. On the other hand, King Kong was in a great state, pressing forward step by step and suppressing the opponent with a clear advantage. Not good. Going to lose. Just when the disciples of Wu Family Zinni Martial Arts School had such a thought in their minds, they saw King Kong on the screen suddenly kick out without any warning. A very tricky kick, vast and fierce. With Master Kongaming's listening skill, he naturally sensed it in advance, but at this moment his body's reaction was a little slow, and he bent his elbow to block it with great difficulty. Bang! Crack, a sound of broken bones was heard, and the big monk flew backwards and fell heavily to the ground. King Kong, who had succeeded in his attack, continued to pursue the victory as always. He came to him like a shadow in an instant and suddenly kicked his opponent on the neck. If Master Kongaming is defeated by the other party, he will be crippled if not dead. The audience beside the ring and in front of the TV couldn't help but cover their eyes, as if they had already seen the horrific scene that was to come. However, at this moment, a third figure appeared on the TV screen. No one could see clearly how the opponent got up there. It seemed like a flash before their eyes, and he appeared on the stage out of thin air. Bang! A hand appeared and gave King Kong a light push, and his kick missed the target, and the ground burst open with his stomping foot. Almost instinctively, he turned around and punched the figure that suddenly appeared beside him. Snap! Facing this blow that came through the air, the opponent took a half step back with his right foot and stood still. At the same time, he raised his right palm upwards and actually caught his punch steadily. King Kong. The two referees on the ring who hadn't reacted yet. King Kong's muscles moved again, and when he couldn't help but want to attack the man in front of him again, the man spoke. Okay, you wins. The other party's slightly vicissitudes of life voice came, and it was not until this time that King Kong saw the other party's appearance clearly. He saw that the person was wearing a very simple Zhongshan long gown, and his figure was a little thin. Compared to himself, he was simply an existence that would fall down if the wind blew. But this little old man actually caught his punch. Not only King Kong, but also the two referees, the audience in the audience and the TV were all confused. The domestic martial arts fans reacted immediately. He appeared, our Chinese domestic hidden master. Chinese martial arts fans immediately took out their mobile phones and began searching for the identity of this old man who looked to be in his 50s or 60s. On the other hand, martial arts fans from the Western world had a completely different reaction. Winner! The martial arts fans from the Western world at the competition, as well as the foreign audience watching the live broadcast on TV in the distant Western world, all jumped up and cheered. Chapter 351, Where is the Conscience? After the match, all major media platforms on the internet at home and abroad released the news as soon as possible. Foreign netizens celebrated and were jubilant, but the strange thing was that martial arts fans in China did not criticize or comfort Master Kongaming. They left comments in the news, asking who this recluse master was. This scene left foreign netizens baffled. What's going on? Normally, these Chinese martial arts fans should be cursing. Why are they all concerned about who the referee is? Just a little old man. If King Kong hadn't retracted his strength in time when he threw the punch, he would have been in human form after that punch, right? At first, fans and netizens from the Western martial arts world simply couldn't understand it, but soon they understood what the Chinese martial arts fans meant. No way, I think these Chinese people have gone insane. That little old man who is so skinny that he seems like he will fall down at the slightest gust of wind, how could he be a master? Is he crazy? I think so too. It's hilarious. It was obviously King Kong who held back at the critical moment, so he didn't kill the other person. How come this little old man is some kind of master? Hey, you guys don't know. Let me tell you, Chinese martial arts fans have a deep love for martial arts. How should I put it? This is a bit like our American superheroes, but their superheroes have different beliefs. What about the great heroes who serve their country and their people? Actually, I don't really understand this sentence. It's more like a spiritual belief of dedication. Bullshit dedication. He just can't stand losing and is trying to divert everyone's attention. Ridiculous. How can such a little old man be a martial arts master? Just looking at his body shape, you can tell how he can be a master in the world. I'm afraid he can't even beat me. That's right, I believe Mr. King Kong will be able to sweep away the 4 young masters that appeared in China this time. What the hell? Fans and netizens in the Western martial arts world were talking about this, but this time, Chinese martial arts fans were too lazy to pay attention to their ridicule. Instead, they began to search and discuss who this old man named Li Henian was. Judging from the information on Baidu, there is not much information about him. He is introduced in just 1 or 2 sentences, saying that Li Henian is a respected senior in the Chinese martial arts world and has made indelible contributions to the Chinese martial arts world. It is said that he became a top master in the Chinese martial arts world in the 1980s, and so on. At this time, a well-known media person published an article in China's New Martial Arts Figures Weekly titled, "Did Li Henian block King Kong and save Kong Ming, or did King Kong stop his strength at that moment?" The content inside is also written very objectively. Well, it is really very objective. This media person is called Yang Xiang. He listed the opinions expressed by well-known media in the Western martial arts fighting world, and then posted screenshots of discussions and comments from domestic and online netizens. Finally, he commented very objectively. As of now, this senior Li Henian has no competition experience in the past, nor any record of martial arts competitions, although this does not mean that his martial arts skills are not strong. To put it another way, his strength is also at the top level, but at his current age, how much of his strength can he still have at his peak? You know, at his age, the top masters in the Western martial arts world have already seen their physical functions decline, and it's already very good to be able to retain half of their strength. Many seniors even have difficulty walking at this age because of the hidden injuries they suffered in martial arts competitions when they were young. Therefore, based on a comprehensive analysis, King Kong should have retracted his strength when he threw the punch. Of course, we cannot rule out the possibility that senior Li Henian is a sweeping monk. It's just that the conclusion I draw from the most objective perspective is that the probability of the latter is relatively small. As soon as this article came out, all the major media platforms on the Chinese internet exploded at once. Many netizens went to Yang Xiang's Weibo to criticize him directly. However, a large number of netizens also felt that what this media person said was right. After all, If this Li Henian was really some peerless master, then why had he not revealed himself before, and why had no one known of his existence? You know, even among the people in the martial arts world, 90% of the warriors don't know this senior Li Henian. Only the great masters who have the potential to reach the level of strength he is in know something about him. However, at this critical moment, Renren.com, a Chinese website that has emerged and now has become a well-known self-media person in the domestic martial arts community, also published a news commentary titled, "Where is the Conscience?" The article begins with a quote from an article Yang Xiang once wrote, "Today's intellectual youth conscience is half in the legal profession and half in the media." He wrote this article 7 years ago, and it is very old. What the reporter Yang lamented was that Chinese media people have not made a lot of money, and their salary income has not increased for more than 10 years. The media people here actually refer specifically to martial arts media people. To put it bluntly, what he is promoting is actually himself, and the legal profession is just a banner he uses to cover up his own shortcomings. The conscience of China lies half in the legal profession and half in the media profession. To round it off, the conscience of China is the financial media person Yang Xiang himself. This sentence is like a flag. All of a sudden, most of the big V's in Weibo who were knowledgeable about the industry at that time were journalists, lawyers, etc., and they all labeled themselves as the conscience of China. In those years, many famous jokes came from their hands, but do they really have a conscience? This well-known self-media person, who came out of Renren.com, commented at the end of the article, "After all these years, I think Yang Xiang is still too modest. He should have said that the conscience of China is himself, Yang Xiang. After all, he neither talks about state affairs nor the economy, and he doesn't care about the people. He devotes all his energy to writing articles to flatter Western martial arts media capitalists, praising the glorious achievements of the Western fighting world, giving paid lectures, and making money by standing up for many media outlets. He said he didn't make any money, but as far as I know, our Yang Xiang has bought a house every year in the past few years, opened a big company, and employed hundreds of people. The key is that he said this in an interview some time ago. I am an elitist, and most people are useless." Finally, let me point out a point. Maybe in the eyes of this great reporter, Senior Li Henian is just like most ordinary people, right? Chapter 352, The Final Battle. The online quarrel between these two media people immediately ignited the two distinct factions of Chinese netizens and triggered a very widespread debate. Even many mainstream media outlets have paid attention to the online debates and verbal battles and have conducted some follow-up reports. However, smart media outlets never follow the crowd, but instead find another way to get to the essence of the matter. Well, some media reporters have already started trying to find this martial arts veteran named Li Henian and want to interview him and ask him whether the opponent held back when he blocked King Kong's attack or not, and also ask him about his own strength, which school he belongs to, etc. However, just when everyone was expecting that many self-media people and some mainstream media reporters could interview this senior and find out what was going on, these self-media people and reporters were surprised to find that no matter how they looked, even through the Chinese Martial Arts Association, they could not find the contact information and address of this senior Li Henian. Several media reporters simply found the relevant person in charge of the Huaxia Martial Arts Association and asked, and then received a highly confidential reply. "No comment, it needs to be kept secret." So mysterious. For a while, the internet was full of people who believed that this senior Li Henian was a hidden master in the Chinese martial arts world. Netizens were discussing the matter. Of course, no matter what time it was, there were always some Chinese netizens who wanted to breathe the air of freedom and made all kinds of sarcasm and ridicule, saying that this was simply the Chinese Martial Arts Association's way of dealing with something in order to cover up something. It's bustling on the internet, but quiet and dull in real life. Wu Jiangtao and the others knew something about senior Li Henian's popularity on the internet, but they were not overly worried. After all, the old man had been away from the world for many years and was no longer in the martial arts world. If this competition was not too important and dangerous, the Martial Arts Association would not have bothered to invite this great god back to the competition site. Compared with this matter, Wu Jiangtao, Yuan Huang, and others are more concerned about King Kong's strength. These days, through several analyses of the game videos, they finally had a very clear understanding of this peerless strong man who won the title of the best in the world in the United States and even in the world martial arts arena. From the current schedule, we will meet sooner rather than later since we are undefeated. Maybe in the next match, it will be either you or me against him, but it is also possible that we will fight each other first. Yuan Huang said thoughtfully, "If we meet before we meet King Kong, Then we can have a sparring match and let him study our strength at the same time. This way it will be fair." Wu Jiantao looked calm. "Lo." The older cousin looked at his younger cousin with interest. "Aren't you afraid of losing to me?" "Hey, it's still unclear who will win or lose." The witch mother looked at the two young juniors, shook her head and laughed. "Don't be too confident. Although it seems that he is probably not a match for the two of you, what if King Kong still has some strength left?" "Yes, yes, yes." Li Ziaoshan's face tensed up. "You better be careful. Kong Ming was beaten like that before. I was scared." Chen Jun pursed her lips and said nothing. Although the match had been over a week ago, the sight of the powerful master Kong Ming being knocked to the ground and nearly killed by the opponent made the two girlfriends feel a little uneasy. "Then I am looking forward to seeing if he can still hold back in the duel with Master Kong Ming," Wu Jiantao said with a smile. The schedule of the world's #1 martial arts tournament was not affected by the domestic public opinion storm in China, and Wu Jiantao soon received the schedule for the next competition. The opponent is Hope King Garcia. He had just said it casually before, but now, when he really saw King Kong's name on the game schedule, Wu Jiantao couldn't help but frown slightly. "Very good. I didn't expect that I would meet this great master in the first round of the final 8 qualifying matches." The next day, the next round of competition schedule was announced on the official website of the world's #1 martial arts tournament. Martial arts fans at home and abroad were talking about it online for a while, and they suddenly stopped paying attention to how strong and mysterious senior Li Henian was and focused their attention on it. The interesting thing is that most people are not discussing who will win or lose between the two of them, but how many minutes Wu Jiantao can last under King Kong's wild and brutal attack. There are even some Chinese netizens living abroad who posted the handicap of the Europa bookmaker on the internet. There are many options displayed on it, but the only option that can allow Wu Jiantao to beat King Kong is the win option, with odds as high as 1.55, the highest among all options. As soon as the schedule was announced, Wu Jiantao even received a call from his uncle who had gone to the southern continent to play. He said, "You must do your best and win. We are counting on you for the rest of our lives." He was simply speechless. It is obvious that my uncle has joined a gambling gang in the southern continent. In the past 2 years, things have become increasingly unstable there, with all kinds of problems and conflicts. I didn't expect that he would still be in the mood to play this. A few days later, the day of the competition arrived, and Wu Jiantao, Yuan Huang and their group boarded a plane to ancient Rome, Italy. The final round-robin qualifying battle for the top 8 will be held in the oldest city in Europe. Also coming along are Wu's father, Li Ziaoshan, and several members of the Tiger Roar team. As for Chen Jun and Wu's mother, they are not coming because they have to take care of 2 little ones. In the first 8 matches of the round-robin tournament, the Warriors with all wins, 1 loss, and 2 losses will compete in the final 3 rounds. After 3 rounds, the game is completely over. After resting for a day and a night in this ancient city, Wu Jiantao and his companions, who were both very capable, quickly adjusted their work and rest schedules and their physical and mental states. At 9 o'clock in the morning of the 3rd day, the competition officially began. In the first match of the first round, Wu Jiantao from China faced Hope Kim Garcia from the United States. As the competition time approached, the 2 referees on the ring and the on-site host took their positions and began to let the fighters from both sides of the competition appear on the stage. Wu Jiantao was the first to appear on the stage. Almost at the same time, the audience in the entire stadium booed loudly, and there were some very unfriendly shouts in the crowd. However, he ignored them and stood quietly waiting for King Kong to come to him. "Fight! The game begins." Following the referee's announcement, the 2 people on the field moved instantly. Chapter 353, Thanks. Stomp. Bang. On the ring, the sound of the 2 men stomping on the ground and the sound of fists and feet colliding could be heard. The 3 referees who were concentrating on watching their fight changed their expressions slightly, and they almost retreated because they could not hold back their terrifying momentum. Seeing the shocking changes in Wu Jiantao's body shape and posture, as well as the shocking murderous aura that suddenly spread out, they almost couldn't help but turn around and run away. At this moment, his height in the fight instantly expanded from over 1.8 meters to 2 meters. Looking at the bulging muscles and dark blue fascia on his body, he was like 2 different people compared to just now. His every move was full of strength and domineering. Facing such a terrifying existence, only King Kong, who is also an inhuman existence, can fight him back and forth. If it were an ordinary Star Master, he would probably have to kneel down after being hit by 1 punch from Wu Jiantao. The competition committee will send out 3 referees for this competition. This was a sign of respect for the level of Wu Jiantao and King Kong. Although they were also masters of the Chinese star level, the previous match between King Kong and Master Kong Ming had shown that 2 referees were not enough. It would be better to have 3 people around. If there was any accident during the competition, the 3 of them should be able to stop either of the 2 contestants. I thought it was more than enough, but now it looks like it's not enough at all. The seniors from the competition committee looked at each other in bewilderment, all sweating profusely. If they had known earlier, they would have arranged 2 more people, and they would have been competing now. There was nothing they could do. The competition on the field entered a white-hot stage right from the start. Wu Jiantao fought without reservation from the start and threw several punches at his opponent in the face. Each punch went straight to the opponent's vital points. It was dark and cruel, as if he had a deep hatred for King Kong. King Kong is no pushover either. While protecting his vital points, he flexibly performs the butterfly footwork and sways his upper body flexibly, making him capable of both offense and defense. Every jab in his counterattack is equally tricky and fierce. Bang, 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 bangs. The 2 men fought back and forth in the center of the ring, and they fought for more than a few rounds in an instant. The audience on the sidelines and in front of the TV were dazzled and held their breath, afraid to miss any moment of this peak showdown. Suddenly, King Kong kicked out without any warning, and the kick moved from bottom to top, turning into an extremely swift black shadow and heading straight for Wu Jiantao's chin. If he was hit hard, Wu Jiantao would definitely lose most of his